disappointed in every one of you.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to offend you.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
I kiss you on the mouth.
No, I'm not cool with that. I'm sorry.
One more time.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
I mean, I'm dealing with degenerate animals.
I'm disappointed in every one of you. Disappointed in every one of you.
All right, come on.
Honestly, I can't do it, man.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
Let me tell you why.
It's gonna be all right, Nicky. Go ahead. Shoot.
You just killed a little fucking man.
What are you going to do about it?
You're heavy because you got nothing. You don't got a thing. You're heavy because you got nothing. Lobito! Got nothing.
I want to get out of this rat hole. I want to get online. I need
BDA boxing.
Welcome everybody to the Boxing Podcast, broadcasting to you live from the True North. This is your good friend Mr. BDA, and hopefully you guys were excited by the $20 card that we just saw, and what a fight we just saw between Joshua and Dubois. Or should that be Dubois now first? Maybe the first name, Dubois' names comes first, man, because this dude delivered a performance. Spoilers for everybody. If you haven't seen the fight yet, you should probably not be listening to this show right now. Be that as it may, we're going to cover everything that went on in the last hour. We might be taking phone calls in about an hour or so, 45 minutes, depends how everything goes. But we got a lot to talk about, fellas, so let's get down to it. Before we get down to the fun, let's get the business out of the way, fellas. You know the drill. If you want to donate a couple of shekels our way, you're certainly welcome to do so with the Super Chat feature, although it's always better if you join the membership program. That way you get more bang for your buck. But the most important thing is you continue to like, you subscribe, you spread that BDA gospel, all right, fellas? Don't forget you can check us out on Spotify, iTunes, and Spreaker at your leisure. All right, let's not forget everybody in the chat. Let's give a big shout out to everybody in the chat. Sergeant, Let Me Ace, Lalo Soto Gaming, one of the initiated. I Am Your Leader, another one of the initiated. Nightmurph, another initiated. The Quags, another member of the BDA organization. Alan, Ralph Unreal, Josh, Redman. Who else we got here? Noe, maybe the one. Trey, Ason, Ralph Unreal, Byron Evola, Josecito, Iceman, Roland Curtis, Bernard, and many more people to come. I'm sure, fellas, if I forgot anybody, it's because we got to get the show started, but you guys know who you are. Thank you for joining us. Man, what happened? What round did this shebang end, by the way? Let me just see here. CompuBox stats, okay. What is this CompuBox stats? They're not even giving me front page news. Should be Dubois stops AJ. And they're not saying that. What, round 5? Thank you, J. Cole. Thank you, Quacks. Shout out to you guys. Round 5, and it wasn't even close. From the get-go, Dubois was too quick, too accurate for AJ, and I gotta wonder now. The big narrative coming to this fight was that Joshua was back. He regained his confidence, and you're thinking, okay, yeah, he does look confident, but against whom? Otto Wallin, Jermaine Franklin, not exactly the tallest, quickest guys out there. Although there were good wins, don't get me wrong. But this was the first time he was facing a guy younger than him, almost as big as him, who hit harder than him. Ngannou doesn't count. He's not a professional boxer. Perhaps the biggest puncher since Ruiz. And we saw what happened here. But, I mean, even though I thought Dubois had a chance, I don't think many people expected it to be that one-sided and that early. So, my goodness gracious, let me start inviting people over here. And let's start talking about what just transpired. I was going to say cooking, but we already got enough cooking in this fight, man. Let me tell you. Now we're just going to talk about the cooking. Give me 2 seconds here. Hey, don't forget, shout out to Brown Gone. Shout out to Brian Gone for his contribution with the Super Chat. He says, what's he saying? Hold on a second. Can't see his comment. He's saying, damn. No, that's not him. Whatever. He's saying the fight was... He says he's got proof... He says, AJ was paid to lose, BDA. I got the receipts. Well, I don't know about that, man. I mean, send those receipts my way, man. We'll see what we got. But shout out to everybody else in the chat as well. Hopefully you guys enjoy the fight. Who else am I missing here? I'm going to invite Gonzalo. And so 5th round. Some people are saying fight of the year because Joshua hurt Dubois right before the knockout loss. But I don't know. It was too one-sided to be fight of the year. It was really just, what's his name? Joshua getting beat on like a drum. Want to bang the drum all day. Don't want to work. And let me tell you, man, this was a one-sided affair from the get-go. So I don't know if it merits the badge of fight of the year. But then again, we haven't really had that many fight of the year contenders in this year. So we'll see what happens with that. Hold on a second. Let me just read a couple of more comments here while I try to. All right, I think we got everybody here. Chief, is that you? Yeah, that's you. Chief,
yes,
what's
sir.
up, man? Did you see the fight?
No, sir.
All right. Well, let me tell you then, Joshua got his ass knocked out by Dubois in the 5th round. And he wasn't even close, Chief. It wasn't like, he got caught and then from the first round he got caught. Right? He couldn't get away from Dubois' jabs, which was surprising to me. What? He couldn't get away. Go on Twitter and watch the highlights. He couldn't get away from the jab. He was getting out jab at the younger, and this is what I'm starting to think now, Chief. I think Dubois, because it's a heavyweight division, so we tend to think, heavyweights last longer because the power is always there and all it takes is one punch, blah blah blah. But in this scenario, the speed really did play a part, and Dubois was outboxing AJ in there.
Wow.
I mean, it was quite a show, let me tell you. So here's what happened for anybody that doesn't know what happened, or just to give a quick rundown. Joshua goes in there. He looked okay. He didn't look tense the way he did for the Luis fight. Then they're boxing. Okay, everything's going hunky-dory for both guys. But Dubois starts landing the jab. And Joshua, it seems, he doesn't have a guard. He seems unable to parry the jab. He's not moving his head. And then when he's moving his feet, he thinks he's out of range. But he's facing a quicker, younger guy in there who can cut the distance faster. And what happened? He cut him with an overhand right, dropped him at the end of the first round. Then I forget exactly what happened, how many times he dropped him thereafter, but I know there was another knockdown where he almost finished him, again, near the end of the round, right near the corner. And then he slipped in the 3rd, I believe. Then the 4th, he was doing okay. Then in the 5th, he hurts Dubois, as Dubois looks like he's starting to slow down. He goes in for the kill, and he runs into an overhand right. And you know what mistake he did, Chief Joshua? He landed 2 right hands as he was driving Dubois into the corner, and then he went for a lead uppercut. A lead uppercut, and he's coming forward, so all Dubois had to do was throw an overhand right, and that's all she wrote.
So when you say lead uppercut, you mean like a left one?
Right uppercut.
Oh, but he didn't jab or throw it, so he led it, meaning he didn't try and set it up.
Well, he threw a right hand. He threw a right hand and he drove Dubois into the corner. Then he threw another overhand right, trying to drive him deeper. And then the 3rd time he went with a lead right uppercut, wide open for an overhand right.
Gotcha. Okay. I'll catch the highlights to picture what you're saying better. But when you said lead, I thought you meant off the front foot, which would have been the left.
Right.
And then when you said it again, I thought it was like he didn't use anything to set it up and just tried to throw an uppercut with from a bad angle with nothing to blind Dubois with.
Well, let me ask you this, man, because I know you haven't seen the fight, but I just want to get your gauge on this. Before the fight, I was telling Bucho, when's the last time? I mean, Joshua, he was enjoying a bit of a career renaissance against Hellenius, Jermaine Franklin, Otto Wallin, which was really his big win. And then the most impressive one for the casual was when he knocked out Ngannou. Neither of those guys, none of those guys prepared him for a guy who was as tall as he was, or almost as tall as he was, who was younger, and who hit perhaps the biggest puncher since Luis. Because like I said, Ngannou doesn't count. So do you think, and I know you haven't seen the fight yet, but do you think it's possible Joshua just simply was unprepared for a guy as physical as Dubois?
It definitely sounds that way based off the quality of the competition he placed before that. I think we wrote Dubois down, off a little bit because we thought he was too soft. So didn't think that his physical attributes would have mattered at all. In the back of my mind, even though I didn't say this on the air, it was kind of like maybe the event would be too big for Dubois because the times that he was in big events, he was losing, and it looked like he was quitting. It looked like it was too hard for him, so he didn't dig deep, and he didn't have that second X factor to win a fight. I haven't seen this one, so I can't comment on this, but in regards to how that affects towards Joshua, pretty much since Klitschko, hasn't fought anybody that has a real shot at giving him a run for his money. The Ruiz fight, okay, he was fast-handed. But what else has Ruiz really ever shown in the heavyweight division? Had a good fight with, I forget his name, Parker, was it?
Yeah, Joseph. Yeah, that was a good fight.
Yeah. Okay, that was a good fight. But aside from that, then he pulls off an upset against Joshua. What else has Ruiz really done? He's proven he has fast hands, but he's, 6'2". He's not very big. He's short reach for today's stuff. And that gave Joshua all he could handle one particular night. Now, Joshua used his tools and stuff in outboxing later. What else has he faced on something he's going to say, okay, you're as big as me and everything else, but I'm going to show you through toughness, grit, as well as skill and stamina that I'm going to outdo you. He hasn't done that. And now I'm not trying to go back on my word of what I said or anything, but in hindsight, you are correct. I don't think he took on a single opponent that would have set himself up for this outside of whatever he may have had inside of himself internally. So he never fought anybody that was tall enough, athletic enough to help him get his timing down. And I've been saying this a lot more lately than before. Timing is the key. Doesn't matter how fast you are. It doesn't matter how hard you can hit. If you got timing, you can throw everything else off. And Joshua, apparently, from what you're telling me, because, again, I haven't seen it, didn't appear like he had the timing to be able to pull this off.
I mean, yeah, that's what it seemed like. And I remember when Dubois fought Joyce, people were convinced Joyce was going to stop him because he was going to be able to absorb the big stuff and then keep coming, and he did. But not everybody has the Joyce type chin. And Dubois landed some bombs in there. Then when he fought Usyk, well, he got stopped by Usyk. I mean, hey, Usyk's Usyk. No shame there. But it did seem like he's been improving by large increments. And today we just saw him outgun perhaps the next big gunslinger, the next biggest gunslinger in the division. Power-wise, there's not going to be many other guys out there that can match Joshua's power against Dubois. Now, we know you don't necessarily need to have that type of power to beat Dubois, but nevertheless, his career renaissance is in full effect right now. Stopping, and here's the other thing. Precisely this, I was talking with Bucho, and I saw how big, how filled up the Wembley Stadium was, and I said, my goodness, after Joshua, who's next? Who can do this? Whether in the UK or anywhere else. I think Dubois just picked up that mantle because he's just as entertaining as Joshua. He's a Brit, and now this win, usually when you beat the A side, you don't become the A side necessarily, but I think in this case, he's got a very good, he's in a very good position of doing that. So, I mean, we'll see what happens with Dubois right there in that scenario. Joshua just never seemed to be able to...
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, man. Go ahead. Okay, I thought you were going to say something, Chief. Let me know if you want to say something, man, because I know you're probably on the road or something. But one thing that surprised me here going into this fight was that Joshua never managed to uncork the jab until maybe round 4, maybe, when he started getting his legs back. Dubois the one that was outboxing him. And he was snapping his head back with the jab. And that's the other thing, though. If you get your head snapped back by a jab and you're a welterweight or a middleweight, it's bad enough getting your head snapped back by a jab because that puts a lot of pressure on the spine. Once the spine becomes compromised, you can't move as swiftly or as smoothly as you would like. It makes you a still target. And then the right hands come along, and that's all she wrote. In the heavyweight division, that compounds because the jabs that you're eating feel like right hands. It's coming from a 250-plus pound guy. So he was eating jabs, and I remember telling Butch, I said, this type of jabs that he's eating, they might not look like much, but they're going to start slowing him down eventually. I said, I was expecting that if the fight continued going into the later rounds, it was Dubois that was going to deflate. But then I saw the shots that Joshua was taking. I'm thinking, I don't know if he's going to have a second win the way he's getting hit here.
You are completely correct. Especially, Jimmy already talked about Joshua's muscular build, right?
Right.
So that muscular build, when you've got those big, bulky, tight muscles, I don't necessarily mean tight as in non-flexible. I just mean very dense muscles. And you start jabbing them, that causes those muscles to flex and get tense, and it causes them to jar, causes them to stretch when you don't want them to stretch. The mind's not making them stretch, and outside force is making them move. And like you're saying, it makes them tired. And so when they start to get tired, you don't have to hit them with a big knockout punch anymore. Those secondary muscles that actually help support the neck and the jaw and everything and your stability upstairs, when they get weakened, it doesn't take as much to knock a person out because it's like my friend once told me, hello, chin, meet shoulder. When the chin touches the shoulder, usually that's like a little snap that causes you just to disconnect and fall down. Well, when those muscles get tired, there's not going to take a whole lot of force to make the chin meet the shoulder.
Exactly.
And then that's good night.
Excellent point right there. Yeah, you always mentioned it.
Yeah. And just to finish that part off, is like when those jabs start snapping, when those muscles start getting tired, it also makes you think. You can feel yourself getting tired. As a person that has, I won't say severe, but lots of back problems, a lot of problems with the spine, I know what it's like to feel tired, not from jabs, but just when your back is like physically tired. I know how that feels. And sometimes it just makes you want to like not be awake. You want to go to sleep. You want to lay down. You don't want to be where you're at because it's not always even pain. Sometimes it's just like this radiation feeling that just severe discomfort. And now you've got punches coming at you while your body's feeling this way, nagging at the back of your brain. And you have to try and force yourself through it. Now, I'm not going to say that men in the past haven't done that. That's a part of boxing that Stu, God bless him, back in the day said there's other parts of boxing. There's also toughness and grit. And that's what makes some of these guys. Their back is like completely about to give out from all the jabs they've been eating, but they still want more because they want to win. Right. Now, I'm not saying Josh was weak mentally, but not everybody can handle that.
Well,
and that's my point.
Yeah, listen, there's going to be, right now we're in the heat of the moment, and there's a bunch of people that are in the heat of the moment. They're going to start, I already saw some comments of people saying AJ should retire. And I'm thinking, wait a minute. I heard those same comments after he lost to Luis, and even after the first Usyk fight, and the second Usyk fight as well. But retire. Why retire? I mean, it's not like he quit in there. The guy got knocked out. He ran into a right hand. And he got up the bunch of times he was dropped and was trying to make it a distance because he knew he could make it out of there, as he did in the Klitschko fight. So I'm not going to start saying that he should retire, he's done, blah, blah, blah. But it does, like, I want to highlight what Del Boy said in the chat. Shout out to Blue Collar Sports TV. He said, Usyk just needs to finish Fury in the rematch and we can see the end of this era. It really does feel a little bit like we're nearing the end of this generation of boxing because Usyk has pretty much done it all. And with his style, he's in his late 30s. He can't compete too much in this heavyweight division. Like I said, with his style and his stature. Joshua, 34, just suffered a knockout loss. Fury, you never know when he's going to retire. And he's, early 30s. It might seem like he's done it all himself. Especially now that the Joshua fight is out of range for the moment. You never know. Joshua's such a big star that with a couple more wins, he could rebuild his brand. But for the moment, it does seem like, man, we're nearing the end of the era that started in 2012 with some of these heavyweights. Real quick, shout out to Just...
Well, in general, we are. I'm sorry, go ahead, do your super chat.
Yeah, just a super chat, and then don't forget what you're going to say, please. Just Brian, shout out to Just Brian, says, people are saying AJ's done like Wilder. What are your thoughts on it? Well, yeah, thank you, Just Brian. I just pretty much said that... right now because he posted this super chat a while back, so it's a good question. And yeah, I don't think he's done. I think some people are way too quick to jump on the done trigger, but it does represent the fact that he wasn't really always there anymore. Those wins over Jermaine Franklin, Otto Wallin, they were good wins, but to say that he was the next guy that was, I mean, I don't know. I don't think he's done, to answer your question. I'm trying to really figure out how to articulate the many points that are going through my mind right now. But Chief, you were going to say something about the era?
Well, in general, most of this boxing era is done. I know we still got Haney and some of these younger guys that are in their mid to late 20s on the lighter divisions, but I mean, Triple G's done. Kovalev's been done. Loma's coming towards the end. Hang on a second.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, and so what I'm getting at is like this heavyweight division also coming to an end. It's like a certain era in general in boxing altogether. and most of the divisions outside of the lightweight division are coming to a close because these guys are done. They've had long amateur careers. They're into they're on the early side of their mid 30s, which after what 34. Okay, he's coming close to 35, and Dubois 27. He's got a long way to go. So I don't think Joshua necessarily shot. We may be seeing an end of the era because all these guys are approaching their mid to late 30s, and these are big men. So it takes a toll on you, and we may be healthier, but for some reason, it just seems like these people don't last as long as they did back in Ali's day. Maybe because they don't fight as often. I don't have a scientific answer. But the bottom line is, these guys definitely don't have the attrition to last as long as the generations before, and they're coming to an end. You are correct.
Not for nothing, too, but Joshua's defense, I know he got caught early and maybe he never recovered, but even from the first round on, like I said, he was getting out-jabbed. He couldn't seem to get away from the jabs, and then it seemed like he was relying on his footwork to just get him out of the way of those shots, and his hands were down oftentimes. Couldn't parry the jabs, couldn't get away from the jabs, couldn't get away from the overhand right, which is what put him down in the first place. And then he makes the tactical mistake of leading with a right hook. He got too overconfident. And I got to tell you, the way this fight was so one-sided, even before he got hurt, I don't know if Joshua can beat Dubois in a rematch. That's how impressed I was with Dubois today, that he was actually the tactically superior to Joshua. And that was a big thing that we were all saying coming into this fight. Joshua, one thing for sure, Dubois is younger, he hits just as hard as Joshua, but at least Joshua has better technique. It didn't seem that way tonight, and he couldn't seem to deal with Dubois' speed. It was really quite impressive.
The scenario setting up to remind me of something.
What was that?
Shannon Briggs. So Dubois got a lot of this hype as the prospect. He gets disappointed by an old, slow heavyweight. When the whole eye situation with, I don't know why I can't remember anybody's name anymore. But you know what I'm talking about. When, no. I'm talking about Dubois right now. I'm going to make a parallel over in a second. Dubois was this young talent coming up, but he got upset by not Parker, but was it Joyce?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so he gets upset by Joe Joyce, and then he kind of doesn't keep things going for a little bit, and he has this problem with Usyk. Shannon Briggs had the same problem, but then he had the George Foreman fight, and all of a sudden he's confident. And he fought Lennox Lewis, and he almost pulled that off. Now, that was the pinnacle for him. What Dubois did today was bigger than what Briggs almost did. But this doesn't mean that Dubois is this transformed great guy that's put everything in the past and put it behind him. He's still who he is no matter what. The question is, when things are going his way, everything's great. When they're not, he doesn't pull it off. So who are they going to be able to keep matching him against for him to keep getting his way so they can market this and capitalize on it? Because without it, it's going to be like, oh, that was just a flash in the pan. Never mind. We weren't right about him.
Right.
He still is. Now he's young and I get that, but people's mentalities when it comes time to greatness rarely changes. When you have to make yourself better based off of the fact that you've got to dig deep, and when it comes time to digging deep, the very first time you do it and you're impressed with yourself, you can do it again.
Exactly. Yeah.
When you disappointed yourself by not digging deep, it's hard to teach yourself how to do that after that, because once you've failed, it's easier to make yourself excuses to not succeed.
Yeah, I mean, Joshua has had a bunch of restoration. I like what Joshua said after the Luis loss. He said, look, I'm not going to let this loss define me. And that's the thing, though. A lot of people like to make fun of boxers for the losses, and they define those fighters for the losses. But they don't understand that fighters can come back. So Joshua's in a good position to come back. Now, as for Dubois, who probably just inherited the mantle of box office star from Joshua, the world's his oyster right now. Now, if Usyk and Dubois were to rematch, which I don't know if it's going to happen. I don't know if the Fury rematch happens and Usyk wins, I don't know if he really wants to keep boxing. I mean, he's really done it all at this point in his career. Why would he want to do that rematch? But let's say that rematch does happen. I would still pick Usyk to beat Dubois because one thing Usyk has is he's much more elusive than Joshua, and his gas tank is really pretty much unreal compared to some of these heavyweights. So he can always keep on pushing, and you never know. Dubois, he did quit twice already. So if he would have just been once, yeah.
Well, it's like I said, though, when things go his way, he looks great. Things are not going to go his way against Usyk. So he's going to have to make them go his way. They're not going to fall into place that way. It sounds, and I didn't see this fight tonight, so don't get me wrong that I'm making it sound like this is an absolute because I still have to see it to make this point stick. But Dubois has won when things were going his way. He's rarely had to turn a fight around, and when he needed to turn around, he usually quit or got knocked out. So if he gets a rematch with Usyk, that fight's not going to start in his favor. It's going to start with him in the hole because Usyk's already figured him out once. And with the most cerebral heavyweight of this era has already figured him out. And so he's going to start off in the hole having to try and put doubt into Usyk's head, which nobody's been able to do so far in professional boxing. So I don't see it going now he can capitalize on making some good money, but is he changed enough to make this fight happen? I don't think so. This fight alone, if it isn't enough to convince me, again, haven't seen it, but I'm talking about the success. I don't see the success being enough for him to say the past is now all behind me. Right, the past is all behind you until you step back in the ring with somebody like Usyk.
Yeah, that's a good point. Let me read a couple of chats here from the people real quick. Where am I? Yeah, okay. The Worldwide Web says, we disrespected Dubois way too much during the lead-up. Looking back, the build-up looks exactly how AJ beat Klitschko into retirement at Wembley. This is Dubois passing of the torch moment. Yeah, I can't stress that enough. Dubois can take on the mantle of box office star from Joshua and carry it because he's a Brit, he hits hard, he's a big dude, so there's a good chance that he could take the mantle, the box office mantle. Usually it doesn't work out that way, that if you beat the A side, you become the A side. But in this scenario, yeah, I think I think the only person more happy for Dubois than his family members is Frank Warren, because he's back right on top of the British scene with the leading heavyweight force. He's got Fury and he's got Dubois. There was another comment that I wanted to read here. Where was it? Hold on a second. J.A. says, Lewis got KO'd by freaking Rahman. The AJ that Usyk fought and this Dubois would beat that Lewis. Yeah, that Lewis that showed up in the first Rahman fight was not acclimated to the South African level or atmosphere. And you could tell he was winded by the third round. And then you see what he did in the rematch. Now, again, if there's a rematch that occurs between Dubois and Joshua, rewatch that first round prior to the first knockdown. Dubois was outboxing Joshua. So even if, let's say, because, okay, when Joshua fought Ruiz the first time, he went in for the knockout after he dropped Ruiz, and he got hit on the temple, never recovered, and Ruiz just went on all out of the attack, and Joshua never recovered from any of that, and he quit. In this scenario, let's say he pushes for a rematch, and let's say he does the same thing he did with Ruiz. Like, okay, the first time I jumped in there against him, he ended up knocking me out. I'm going to play it extra safe. This is a different scenario because Ruiz, not only did he show up overweight for the Joshua rematch, he's like, 6'1". He's a fat butterball that you cannot jab. That's not the same thing with Dubois. Dubois, first of all, he's taller than Ruiz, and I don't think he's going to show up to the rematch like a butterball, the way Ruiz sabotaged his own career. So in terms of this rematch, even if Joshua plays it safe, he's still going to get outboxed. And that's the other thing. Joshua was trying to move away in that first round, and he got caught backing up. If you watch the fight, you'll see that he was backing up from an overhand right, and he got caught with his hands down. So whether he presses or whether he plays it safe, this ain't Andy Ruiz here.
True. I'm not ready to pass the mantle on taking on being the next big star to Dubois just because he pulled off an upset. I'm ready for him to be in more meaningful fights. But you have to be you have to have charisma, whether it's in your style of fighting or what. It doesn't matter. You have to have something where people are like, that's who I want to see next. And we haven't gotten a big enough read, and this fight is enough to get that read. It was a huge sellout because it was Joshua, not because it was Dubois. So we still have to see what's going to happen when Dubois comes off of this win, and if there's a rematch and he wins that one too, on if people are on the Dubois train of, that's my guy. That's who I want to see. he's exciting. There's something about him. Now, I haven't seen enough of him and his personality and his interviews to see if he really has some kind of magnetic personality that people are like, hey, I like this guy. He's articulate. The words he says, connect to me or something like that. I have no clue about that when it comes to him on a read of how the public really feels about him, because he disappointed us way back when. So even if he would have had that on the way up, he was a mysterious, dark horse, up-and-coming contender who disappointed us twice. And so after that happened, can these two fights turn him around into being a major box office star? That's a pretty deep question, and 2 wins don't necessarily do that. You have to something else other than just being able to win.
Well, I got to tell you,
Lennox Lewis. Lennox was never a major seller without a dancing partner.
No, yeah, but this dude,
and he was
might
a
just.
world.
Yeah, but let's remember what was wrong with Lennox Lewis. First of all, he was seen as some sort of hybrid chameleon. One day he was Canadian, the next he was Jamaican, the next he was from Kazakhstan, then the next he was finally British. They never embraced him over there fully until after the Holyfield fights. So the other thing is, he wasn't really that entertaining. I mean, yeah, the Mercer fight was entertaining, but for every Mercer fight, there was a slow dance against Akiwande, against that Croatian guy. Whereas Dubois, actually, that's what I was going to say. Dubois, actually, because like you said, he has losses on his record, and he's a heavy-handed guy. So he's a big dude who happens to be vulnerable. That's a recipe for box office success. A guy that either he takes you out or you take him out.
I'm not going to argue with that formula you're explaining, because we've seen it work too many times before. So what I'm saying, though, is like Joshua's going to hold that ability to attract people to him based off of his personality, whether he wins or loses, especially from England.
Start your show now. Press 1.
I don't know that necessarily Dubois is going to be able to do the same thing just because he got these wins. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying he can't do it. I'm not saying he's not going to be a star. I'm not saying he's not going to take over. If this gives him the confidence to do all the stuff we saw him to do as a prospect and live up to that at the world championship level, he will be a force to be reckoned with. That's not even an arguable fact. He will be a force to be reckoned with that people will have trouble with. He's big, he's athletic, he's strong, he's powerful. What he's got to do is learn how to win when the fight's not going his way. And if he can do that and have that confidence of like, I've learned from these losses, and I've learned that losses don't scare me because I can still come back, and I will come back. And if he has that kind of chip on his shoulder of like, yeah, I've lost, but I can still make a comeback. Don't ever count me out because I'm the rematch guy, like Lennox Lewis and Sugar Ray Robinson were. Yeah, you can beat me, but I'm going to come back and beat you. I'm going to beat you more than once after that. I'm going to beat you 2 more times than the one time you beat me. If he has that and he can keep that going, yeah, we can have him for a long time, and he could be very good for the heavyweight division. He just hasn't sold me on that yet, just because he beat a 34-year-old Joshua who's fighting almost once a year now and doesn't seem to be paying attention to sport like he used to.
Well, I mean, Joshua, after the Usyk loss, he did fight. How many times did he fight okay, so he lost to Usyk in the rematch in 2022. 2023 had 3 fights. This time, this was his 2nd fight this year. So he'd been staying active, which is in part why he was being lauded as having a bit of a career renaissance here. By the way, I want to remind people to please hit that like. It really helps us out. Don't forget, I was going to open up the phone lines, and I was just starting to as Chief was talking, but it says again, for one of the second time in the last 6 months, or third rather, the phone lines are down for some reason. Blog Talk is encountering problems. So what we're going to do in a couple of minutes is probably switch this into a hybrid open lines show. It means anybody can jump on. Just join the Discord, and then you go to the open lines, this sub-Discord. Anyway, if you join our BDA page, I'll put the link, and you can just click the link. If you don't have a Discord account, just sign up, and you'll be able to join the show right there. Because I think it's one of those shows. Look, we usually don't get this type of upsets, and this is a type of show where we want to give people a voice, especially when the fire is hot and everybody's all excited about what just happened. In regards to the Joshua thing, that's the other thing. There's always a little bit of too much fake bravado from Joshua. You know, whether he's talking about how he never really looked up to boxers, but rather looked up to criminals and drug dealers, or when he's trying to, play tough guy against Dubois, like, don't say that, bruh. Don't say that, bruh. You don't want what's coming, or something like that. It's like, and it was the same thing here. He got dropped. He started, talking to his corner. He started sticking his tongue out, beating his chest. Now I understand you got to pump yourself up, but I don't know, for some reason that struck me the wrong way. But again, hey, listen, Jim Carrey once said something interesting. He said, when I'm in front of the camera, I'm a desperate motherfucker. Meaning he will do whatever it takes, backflips or whatever, to give a good performance or a funny performance. And the same thing in the ring. When you're hurt, when you're tired, whatever, hey, sometimes you got to do things that make you look like an asshole to the outside observer, but you're trying to pump yourself up. But all I'm saying is Chief, is it possible that Joshua was overlooking Dubois here? That he really thought, hey, listen, I'm the A side. I am more superior technically. I don't really got to worry about his power that much.
I think he thought he was overlooking him based off the fact that he didn't realize that Dubois was going to come in laser focused from what you're telling me, again,
well, that too,
from not having seen it. And that, yeah, I am the superior athlete because I'm the Olympian, I'm this, I'm that. He probably doesn't believe he quit against Andy Ruiz, and other people do. And Dubois has the stigmatism of quitting against his losses. Mm-hmm. And instead of standing up and firing through. So, Josh, if I can explain what I think Joshua's mentality was, because I'm not Joshua. I'm the bigger, stronger guy. I'm more successful. I'm the champion. He's never been a real champion. He can't stand up to what I have to offer. So this won't be tough. And then he found out it was tough. And I can't comment anymore because I'm going by what I trust everything you've told me, but I haven't seen it myself. But it didn't go his way, is the bottom line.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's hard to tell because, and by the way, Joshua didn't really give us much information other than it happened. You know, I'm in a bad mood. He said, or no, what did he say? He said he feels like trashing the place, but he's gonna stay calm. Blah blah blah. But he didn't really give us much insight into what happened. He just said it is what it is. So. We'll have to see. I can't wait to rewatch this fight just to see, because it all crumbled in the first round when he couldn't see the jabs coming. And like Bucho said, when you're getting hit that easily with jabs, chances are you're going to get hit just as easily with a follow-up right hand. And that's exactly what happened.
Right, because the jab's going to blind you. So
exactly.
Step outside.
Exactly.
Yeah, the jab's going to blind you to where you can't see it, and you're going to get nailed with the right hand. There's something you said this about the false bravado. Both of these guys, from certain people and certain critics, were labeled as being somewhat mentally weak before this fight started. More so Dubois than Joshua, probably. But again, Joshua's another guy. When it doesn't go his way, he doesn't do as well. I mean, let's think about it. Other than the Klitschko fight, and that was a 40-plus-year-old Klitschko that had been out of the ring for 2 years, when has he dug really deep to overcome these insurmountable odds that he was down on the cards and was not going to win the fight without a stoppage?
Klitschko?
Other than Klitschko.
Yeah.
Right. So he did it once, but it was against an old Klitschko who had been out of the ring for a long time. Klitschko had been out of the ring since the Tyson Fury loss, and that was close to 2 years. Mm-hmm. So you're talking about a 40-year-old with like 2 years of ring rust. And that's the deepest you were able to dig throughout your entire career. He did not dig deep against Ruiz in that first fight, no matter what anyone wants to say. He couldn't find a way to get his mind right to pull off a win. And pull himself out of that.
That's a very
Everything
good point.
else has pretty much gone his way, and same has gone for Dubois. So when things go their way, everything's great. What I'm curious about is if this fight comes back and Joshua really wants to prove himself, but Dubois got his confidence, and they're both going in there with no doubt in their mind that they're going to win or go out of their shield. Who pulls it off? Because it will get tough then, and who's going to say, "I'm tougher than you, and that's how I'm going to win this fight." I'm curious to that, so I wouldn't mind seeing a rematch.
Well, True Crime in the chat just reminded us, he got hurt by Dylan White in that fight. So that is one fight where, both guys were on the come up and he managed to. But I mean, I also add that context matters. He had hurt White first, just like in the Klitschko fight. And White is not that big a puncher as Dubois. In other words, in this fight, he fought a mirror of himself, except a younger version and no longer like an older guy like a Klitschko. So, I mean, Joshua, listen, I'm not going to sit here and tell you Joshua doesn't have balls, but all I'm saying is the physicality of Dubois, he just never saw it coming.
No, I don't think he did. And to parry off of what that person's comment was, so he was stunned against Dillian White. Okay, I get that. And I saw that fight and I remember. But was it ever a point to where he was down and behind on the cards, and was it competitive, or was it something where he's like, if I don't dig deep and turn something around, I'm going to lose?
Right. Yeah. Okay. That's a good point. Yeah,
Like
okay,
what Ray
yeah.
Leonard was against Tommy Hearns. I am behind in this fight. The only way I can win is to go out there and make this happen.
Yeah.
And I have to do it. Nobody can help me. And if I don't win by knockout, I do not win. It is in my hands alone to take this fight back so I can win. Has Joshua ever been in that situation? I don't remember him ever being in that situation. It's always, he's been competitive, and I give him credit there. So in a fight like Dillian White, they were both stunned at different times. The Klitschko fight, same thing, and he pulled that off. But was it ever so much of the cornerman going, what Joe Goosen said to Diego Corrales, you got to go get inside him now. You got to go effing go do this because no one else is going to do it for you. You better go do it right now. Has he ever been in that situation, come out on top? To my memory, that's no. And it's the same with Dubois. So summing up last point, if they're ever in this fight again and they're both in that situation to where who's going to find a way to dig deep and find a way to come out on top, who do you have your money on? Because neither guy's ever really done it.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good question. We'll see what happens with Joshua. He's too big a star to just leave it all out there. I think he's going to come back but again, he was getting outboxed against Dubois from the get-go. So it's not like the Ruiz fight where he ended up running into something and never recovered. Let me read a super chat here real quick and then we'll get to Bucho who just jumped in. Shout out to Earl Stevens who said, to me, it seems like the silk sheets finally caught up to Joshua. He seemed on autopilot and kept his guard low. Shout out to the ref. We need more like him. I don't know. I think the ref was warning Dubois a little bit too much and, calling a rest of the action a little bit too long, giving Joshua a little bit of a time to rest. But I don't know. I'd have to rewatch the fight, but that's also the same ref. Oh, by the way, the other thing, sorry, real quick. I'll tell you another reason why I didn't like the ref, Earl. At some point, Joshua falls and the guy starts waving. The referee starts waving with both hands. And the zone commentators, they started going crazy because like, the fight's over. And no, it wasn't over. What he was saying was no slip. I mean, no knockdown. It was a slip. When you call a fall a slip, you're supposed to keep your palms towards the ground, meaning your hands horizontal, and you're supposed to go, you wave over the ground, parallel to the ground, as if to say, no knockdown. Slip. This guy was waving his hands like the jazz hands. When you stomp a fight,
yeah, it was terrible.
That's the same guy that ruined the Jack Catterall Josh Taylor fight. But Bucho, you're jumping in, man. What are your thoughts on what just transpired?
Shout out to El Tanque, who was on yesterday's Open Lines Friday show, and he predicted Dubois win by stoppage.
Whoa! Shout out to El Tanque.
So shout out to him. He got it correct. I picked Joshua to win the fight, but I told everybody don't discount Daniel Dubois. I was very impressed with how he fought Alexander Usyk and how obviously he defeated Hrgovic. So I knew coming into this fight that this guy he's on a roll. He just showed us that he's much faster than AJ. He has power as well. So that was pretty much it. And I don't know what was happening with AJ. He looked like that AJ that fought under Ruiz the first time. Like he went in there, but very relaxed. Why do you go into a fight like that? Very relaxed. I mean, you don't have to be all stressed and everything, but at the same time, you can't be relaxed like that. You're going into a fucking fight. I think he's mentally fucking done.
Oh, come on. Wait a minute.
They said there's going to be a rematch.
Oh, really?
I just see the same thing happening. Unless, listen, in a rematch, AJ is going to have to go all out, basically. He's going to have to try to land some bobs early. And that's pretty much all he has, man.
Yeah, but Bucho. Don't people always say that after every time Joshua loses, it's over, he's done, he should retire? Why? Because of another loss? I mean, it's not the first time he's lost.
Well, let's start thinking about his health at 34. Maybe he does need to think about his
health. Fuck his health.
Just because he can draw and bring it in doesn't mean, look, he might need every one of those dollars that he's going to make to the damage he's going to do to himself if he keeps going, if he's not mentally there. And we've already seen the fact that he's not mentally there compared to some. He's not as mentally tough as some of the other heavyweights as before, because when he starts to kind of shell up, if it's not going his way, he takes punishment. And so how much can you take coming from 200 plus pound men, 250, 260 pound men, coming to your head, jolting your head all the time, at least 220 to 230 pound men if you talk about Usyk on top of that. And there's just a amount of punishment you're going to take from these people that is going to do damage to you down the road. This is a dangerous sport. I am not for people bowing out and cowering and going away. But if you're not going to be mentally ready for it, I don't want you in there because I don't want to see anybody dead. And I don't want to see anybody a vegetable because they didn't know how to protect themselves. I want to see someone who's competently tough, confident in their abilities, and who knows how to protect themselves enough to where they're going to take the storm, but they're not going to take enough damage to where they're going to be Jerry Corey at the end of the day.
Chief, you asked
And,
the question.
didn't do shit. Agent didn't do shit in that fight. He didn't show me anything. What's he gonna show us in a rematch? And by the way, when he lost against Andy Ruiz, he was still standing, and he basically quit. And then when he lost to Usyk, well, he lost 12-round decisions against the best boxer right now in the heavyweight division. The way he lost against Dubois, he was face down on the canvas. He couldn't get up. Just looked terrible. Just looked completely terrible. It doesn't seem like this is a big loss. And then now he's 34 on top of that. So the future doesn't look bright at all for this guy.
He was outclassed. And by the way, Chief asked the question, well, how much punishment can AJ take? As much as I tell him he has to. How about that? I'm a consumer. I'm a customer. I pay for this pay-per-view. I want to see him get knocked out a couple of more times. How about that? That's what I say. But
and by the way, if you look at AJ against Ruiz, AJ was actually winning those first few rounds, I believe, or they were close. But I think he was winning. And then he got caught behind the ear, and that's when everything started. The downfall started. But in this fight, from the get-go, he's just getting hurt.
Yeah.
Like, from jabs and everything. It was like, what the, and outboxing. I was like, okay, what the fuck?
He got outclassed tonight. He got outclassed. He was getting out-jabbed and then out-punched, out-manned. And then at the end, he makes a rookie mistake of leading with a right uppercut. I mean, this dude is done. Now, I mean, he was done in that. He's done against Dubois. I don't think he beats Dubois. And I don't think I'm jumping the gun on that one. I'm not jumping the gun by saying that, he should retire. I don't believe that. We're not there yet. But against Dubois, I have a hard time seeing him. Because like I said, Bucho, you brought up the Luis thing, right? When he fought Luis, he had two choices. In the first one, he tried to finish Luis. He got caught and he never recovered. In the rematch, he played it safe. Here, if he tried playing it safe in certain spots against Dubois and was still getting out jabbed. So what can he do? He can't go after Dubois because he runs. So it's a hard sell for him at this point. That one is a hard sell.
Well, I'm not saying he can't pull off a win by making changes, but he's going to have to be the general in there. Now, whether he fights a countering passive fight and still controls the thing by being the general by controlling the action, or whether he's coming in to make a point, that remains to be seen. If he doesn't look like he's fast enough to be on the offense, again, it comes back to not fast enough, but who's got that timing and quickness? If he can't time Dubois, he will take a beating.
Exactly. Absolutely. Yeah, that's essentially the way to categorize or to put it in perspective. Now, we're going to switch on over to the open lines format in a couple of minutes, but I see we got Recognize here. I don't know, Recognize, did you see the fight? Did you want to weigh in on what happened?
I went to go watch the fight at my buddy's what's his name, Sober's house, but as soon as I got there, he got fucking. All I saw was him trying to get up with his legs stuck in the air. Oh man!
Oh, you got there too late. Right, you got there too late. All right, well, listen,
I got there too late. Yeah.
All right.
And so what I did was I watched the highlights. The Zone put it up. Basically, what it looks like to me was he never recovered from the first knockdown in the first round when he got caught with that looping right. It was like a haymaker right. That's what it looked like to me.
He never recovered from these knockdowns, but I remember he recovered from the Klitschko knockdown. So I don't know what the hell's going on here.
Dubois was just on him, man.
Younger with less battle damage at that time.
Well, it looks like his kryptonite.
Yeah, you're right.
But that are faster hands and power, right? Or enough power to hurt him because he's a big boy, right? He's 250, and so Dubois 250, and then he fought. And think about when he got knocked out by Ruiz. These were dudes who were faster hands than AJ, or at least they're quicker to get there.
Right.
I do want to say
I don't know, man. He looked horrible. He looked horrible.
He's done.
Before we move on to the open lines, before we move on to the open lines, I just want to say that one of the things I want to talk about too is because people now are saying, well, Usyk probably doesn't rematch Dubois. Well, I don't know if that happens. First, he has to get past Fury in the rematch, and that's not a guarantee. So who's next for Dubois? A lot of people are saying Martin Bakoli. If Dubois just took over the mantle of Joshua as the next British star, then Bakoli took over the mantle of the next Joey Joyce. We've had a couple of those in the last couple of years, and we also have
I would love that.
Joseph Parker.
Come on, Bucho, man, come on. What's the matter with you?
I mean,
I think he's a W interim champion.
He's in the mix if you think about it, because he got to win over Zhang. Yeah, so
Zhilei Zhang. I was gonna say the N-word, like that.
You guys, okay? Zhang's in the mix, right? You got Bakoli, then you got the winner of Usyk and Fury. I mean, he's got a lot of options. I guess he could fight. I don't think that there's any need for it, but he could always get a rematch and just fucking drain Eddie Hearn's pockets.
There's gonna be a rematch. Apparently, it's a rematch clause, and they're gonna activate it. The Joshua's camp, so we're gonna see a rematch.
Hey, the real.
Hey, but just quickly, Dubois is the IBF heavyweight champion, and obviously he's a paper champion. But now with a Joshua win in his resume, he's starting to look like a champion a little bit.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah, it's not so paper. It's not so paper.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, well, listen, we know who the real champion is. That's Usyk.
Right. Yeah.
Well, we're going to move on over to the open panel portion of the show. So, guys, make sure to migrate on over to the Open Lines channel. You guys know where it is. I don't think I got to remind you.
Immigrant. Who you calling an immigrant?
Well, what did I say, immigrant? What's the matter with you? We're going to go over to the Open Lines. No, that's not what I said. All right, Reckon, I see you on the other side, man. All right, so everyone's already... they left me hanging. Look at that. Okay, let me just tell the people here. Can you guys hear me on the Open Lines here? Hello?
I hear you, dude.
Okay, we're on the air, so no N-words, please. Don't start talking about the Jews and all that controversial stuff. All right, so
no worries.
Who wants to give their opinion on what just transpired? Big upset here.
Y'all didn't see that coming? Like, didn't see pretty much punking AJ at the press conference? Like, the boss was like, I'm ready to fight. I'm ready to fight. Like, I don't know if anybody watched. AJ was looking at this guy like, and like I might have, because somebody mentioned that he might have saw himself when he fought Klitschko, and I kind of thought that too. Like he just I don't know. I don't think AJ came ready. AJ looked timid coming to the ring. He didn't look like his usual even before, and then after he got that right hand in the first round, he really wasn't the same. Like he was very timid. He wasn't sure what. And like you said, throwing a right uppercut without throwing a jab or setting it up, whatever. He was just trying to just go for broke or whatever, and he was trying to land something, whatever, and that's when he just got flushed. But yeah,
he was trying to get out of there because you could tell he's like, "Oh man, I have a little bit of momentum. Maybe I can close the show real quick," and it wasn't on the menu. But he jumped him immediately. You guys noticed that, right? He didn't really let him get in any kind of rhythm or anything of that nature. He went right in there and he fucked them up like from the jump. So that's the right game plan.
See what happened in the first round. He looked dry, so I was thinking maybe he's just not warmed up because they had that long ring walk and all the pageantry, and I really don't like when they do the anthems after they get in the ring. It's just let these guys stay warm, and he looked real cold. But the funny thing is the reasons we said Dubois was going to lose because he doesn't move his head. Keeps his head on the line. AJ did that. He had that left hand down. He had his chin up in the air. He was pulling straight back. He didn't move his head. It was crazy from the onset. He just looked like shit. He might be shot. And the only reason I say that because he was never in the fight other than the 10 seconds he almost got him and then he walked in.
That might be why you might want to give. That might be why you give him a little bit of a pass. Not a pass. That might not be the proper term. But like he did get jumped immediately, and you're right. Like he started like the defensive like responsibility of like keep your hands up and shit. That went out the window in the first round because he hurt him immediately.
He just looked really basic. I don't know why he had that hand low and he was getting cracked with overhand rights. And they were like looping rights. It's not like they were sharp, straight down the pipe rights.
But he had him on the ropes though. You know what I mean? Like tactically, I thought that was really smart from Dubois. He got him on the ropes, and when AJ went to go to lean back. There wasn't too far more to go. Did you see how he got hit with the one punch? He hit him like right on the point of the chin. But it was perfect.
And did you see Turkey? Turkey was standing up with his hands on his head, like, what the fuck is happening right now?
No shit. He just saw $30 million get washed down the toilet. That's what happened.
Yeah,
right there.
and he just lost his ass with the UFC event that lost a lot of money because they had to paper it down because nobody was buying those ridiculous price seats. You know what I mean? So poor guy. I mean, I like what Turkey's doing, man, but this is like back-to-back weeks where he's having a bad week, and it's also the same with Eddie. Eddie's getting spanked by Frank, man.
He's getting spanked, but Frank
has the number, man. Frank. Remember the 5 versus 5. Now this, man, Frank.
Yeah, I know,
bro.
See, but Joshua should stay with Garcia because his hands was low. Like Garcia's an elite coach. Like I don't know who's training this guy because he looked like an amateur, like out there. Every time like he threw something, he never protected himself. Like you said, his chin is there. He didn't change levels. He didn't do anything. Like he didn't.
I think it's because he got hurt so quick, though.
Whoever said that about him not changing levels, like completely on point. Did you notice how Joshua could bend down and like wrap his arms around Dubois' waist to try like attempt a takedown, but couldn't throw a fucking jab to the body? I mean, it was ridiculous, like just embarrassing. It's embarrassing to see something like this and to call yourself a fan of the sport. Anthony Joshua, the way he walked into that ring, if you had him fight some big dude in a bar, I have like zero confidence that he would like wipe the floor with that guy. I mean, he can get knocked out by some random bystander. Like I'm being 100% serious.
Oh shit! Sorry about that. I'm trying to project the Discord. Hold on a second. Well, the sound of the Discord will come back. The panelists will be back. Hold on a second. Don't forget to hit the like, fellas. Hit the like. It really helps out. Hold on a second. Give me 2 seconds. All right, we should be back here.
He had the look in his eyes like he had that fire. When it came to AJ, it looked like he just wasn't all there.
I think it's different, though. I think you're right.
No urgency in AJ whatsoever.
He got hurt right away. So, I mean, I understand what you guys are saying in that regard, but like he got blasted out like in the first round. Like he was hurt immediately.
Yeah, but the way he got hurt before. But the way he got hurt, Flax, he was moving around with like no sense of attempt to like put anything on Dubois. Why would you let this guy
autopilot
start
man
fast? Exactly, autopilot. Yeah.
Yo, but y'all gotta credit Dubois too, because what y'all are saying is true, and I agree with y'all. But Dubois he brings it, man. If anything,
that was the best game plan.
I think he's going to be a dark horse. I think if anything, he's the one that improves off his losses. Where AJ, on the other hand, when he loses self-confidence. He loses pieces of himself. But with Dubois 27, or he's young, so he's going to be around, bro. He might be the guy in the
for the English at least.
That's great.
Dubois did look sharp, but I just want to say something about Joshua's preparation. If you think back to that the Franklin fight, his first comeback fight, he looked terrible, right? He was very heavy, and like any punch that he would catch on his guard looked like he would rock him. And he was about the same weight, 250 pounds, same weight that he was in against the Hellenius fight, and the same weight he is now, same weight he was in with the Ruiz fight at first. I don't know what he's doing. Like, is he lifting weights and just like cutting out sparring? Because he's coming in holding water.
I think he just burned out, bro.
He's dude.
We see this happen, man. We see this happen with fighters that just burn out.
You guys are talking at the same
time, gentlemen.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah,
you should have stayed with Garcia.
You
should have stayed with Garcia.
No. He is where he is, and it was inevitable, man. He's one of those guys. We see guys that burn hot and then they just burn out. Like look at Navarrete, guys like that. I mean, he had a good run. He didn't have a lot of boxing background. He wasn't he wasn't really any amateurs. He started boxing late. He had a lot of success.
It's a gold medal.
You know, he made the most out of his abilities, man. It's his time, man. I think it's just his fire was hot, and the fires that burn the most hot are the ones that burn out quicker.
I think Daniel.
I mean,
Daniel Dubois might have baited him too. Because one thing that Daniel Dubois does, one of the things that he does, he leaves like his chin open from the lead hand. He saw kind of like, this is just my guess, right? Because I don't know what he's thinking in the ring. And I think he saw AJ kind of like fucking, using lateral movement for no reason because he's trying to set that up. And if you look at that exchange, right, it looks like Dubois like weaves one of his punches and then comes up, hits him with a shot. Maybe I don't think it knocked him out, but the next time around, it dropped him in that first round. And if you look at AJ's legs when he got dropped, it looked like it just looked like it was gone.
Well,
Can
I add to that though? Can I add?
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
I just wanted to say that, like, he has so much muscle that it's so obvious telegraphs all his punches. Like, you could tell by just watching. I mean, this is gonna sound weird, but just watching the way he moves his hips and shoulders, you could tell where he's gonna aim.
Yeah, but that's all after the fact.
He doesn't throw feints or change levels.
AJ is a man without a style. You saw Dubois.
Yeah, that's true. He doesn't really have a style.
You saw
trainers. The more he switched trainers,
Dubois beat him going backwards. You saw Dubois go backwards and make AJ come forward and beat him that way. So he was beating him in both directions. Like, this guy is lost in there.
Stayed with Garcia, he'd have been fine. That's the problem. He doesn't throw feints. He doesn't change levels. He's not shifty. He stays in front of you. He's never really been special. Where he never really was special. Like,
all right. So what does that mean? He has not
done a good job with him.
I don't think he's been trained properly. Like, think of what they had to do with Vladimir Klitschko after he got fucked up a couple times. When he was a heavyweight, when Corey Sanders took advantage of him. What happened afterwards? They went to Manuel Stewart, and that's when the jab and grab pretty much started to really come out. He needs something like that. I hate to say it because I hate that style, but he obviously doesn't have the chin, and he's not durable.
But hold on, he did start out with the jab and grab. He was clinching so often from the first round. He looked like he didn't want to be there.
Hurt. That's because he got hurt.
Yeah. No. Hold on. Let me just say my piece. It's not because he got hurt, right? He started off just trying to get in there and work his way in. He looked very tepid from the get-go. So I don't think it's really like if he just changed trainers, things would be better. I don't think he wants to commit to what it takes to get through a camp to get in shape, because that the shape he came in against Ruiz the second fight, he was 236 pounds. It's almost 20 pounds of difference to what he is now.
I get what you're saying.
Huge.
I hear what you're saying, dude. Hold on. Okay, go ahead.
Because in the middle rounds of this fight, he started landing his jab. Right, he started to come in, so he has the abilities. He just doesn't want to prepare himself. He just wasn't sharp at all. Like, he was awful in this fight.
I feel like they're not training him properly. I think a good trainer would assess by this time in his career, they'd figure out what the fuck he is. They know he can't take a shot too well. They should know he's not terribly durable. They should start getting him out of the way of shit, or learning how for him to tie people up appropriately.
I think it's too late. It's too late for him, man. I think it's too late. Like, changing trainers this much and doing his little lap around America where he was trying Derek James, Robert Garcia. It's the die has cast, bro. Like, y'all. I'm not throwing shade, man, but y'all remind me of that song Humpty Dumpty, where everybody's trying to put them together. Yo, man, I think he's just done, bro.
Well, you remind. Well, hold on. I just want to say something. Let me just say something. Let me just say something. Let me just say. Excuse me. Let me just say something. Let me say something. It goes both ways. It's easy to look at Joshua, and people overrated him because he got too much confidence of facing guys that he could control in there, as opposed to a physical specimen like Dubois. But at the same time, Southpaw Lefty, you sound like one of those alarmists that as soon as a guy gets knocked out, he's done. Retire. Like, what? He's been through this before. Hold on, let me finish. He's been through this before. Mm-hmm. He's been stomped before. He's lost before. I don't think he's done, and I don't think that the cast is set. He's done pretty well with the cast he's got. So let's not make him out to be. I think we also have to give Dubois credit for what he was able to pull off today. It wasn't a fluke. It wasn't like, he caught him with one punch and that was it. This dude was out jabbing him, rushing him. He was too quick for Joshua, and he knocked his ass out. Let's give Dubois his credit as well.
But here's the thing, BDA. Joshua looks like he's regressing. He's not improving on anything he's doing.
No, he reached his ceiling. I think that's what it is, man. I think he reached his ceiling.
I think they tried to make a guy that knew how to fight a little bit, and now they're trying to make him into a boxer to protect him. He doesn't have much of a boxing prowess.
Hey, yo, can y'all hear me?
The way he like Danny has been fighting competition, and honestly, competition like Joshua's been fighting, not cream puffs, but much the client, and he fought an MMA guy like recently, like, so it's not like Danny's been in there with a couple guys, and he has and you can just see it, Joshua's he still has one money fight left. I believe it could be with Wilder, it could be with Fury. He still has one money fight left, so he's not done.
I think it's Wilder. I agree with Wilder. Well, yeah, of course. I'm not saying he doesn't have any leverage to make any more money, but if you look at him tactically and more physically, he's getting pretty close to being done. A little bit. He has two options right now, in my opinion. He can negotiate the rematch and try to get back where he was, or he moves on and he retires and he goes on and takes Wilder on his way out, which he can win that.
Let me say this.
Don't you find it weird that his legs are so strong, but when he gets hurt, he has no fucking foundations? I mean, they look strong. There's nothing there.
I mean, listen, the guy got caught flush, man, against a heavy-handed guy. Real quick, shout out to Rafael Garza for his contribution to the Super Chat. He says, would you call those rights thrown at AJ volados? Well, I mean, for people out there who don't speak Spanish, usually gancho is what you call a hook. Volado would be more like a bolo shots type, arc. So, no, I wouldn't really call what Dubois was... I wouldn't call what Dubois was throwing a volado, but they certainly had a lot of power, let me tell you. Real quick, I also
want to... He was punching with him. Sorry.
I want to hear from Jimmy. Jimmy just jumped in. Jimmy just jumped in. Hold on. I want to hear from Jimmy. Jimmy, are you there?
Jimmy! Man.
Jimmy.
Yes, sir.
What are your thoughts on
boys?
What's up, man? We got a lot of people here, man, but what are your thoughts on everything?
It's short, sweet. No, listen, well, after the last show when I said, you know what I mean? Remember I mentioned, I said I think Dubois has a good chance of catching him, right? Dude, I got crucified on Twitter. Why don't even go on that vile app anymore? I just I had people at me, guys following me for years. Dude, are you serious? This is a fucking gimme pick. Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, yeah, you know what I mean? No, I mean, the thing is, right? I respect what Joshua did against Klitschko, even though he was 41. But we talked about it, Mr. BDA. You look at his career. It was remember when we talked about how we waited for him to repeat that Klitschko thing? Mm-hmm. I think the best he's looked since Klitschko was in his second loss to Usyk. You know what I mean? I thought that was the best I've seen him look as a fighter. I saw him come into the ring tonight dry, completely dry, no sweat on him. Wow, man, you should be glistening in sweat. You should be loose.
I saw him sweating.
So, yeah, I really?
Yeah, I saw sweat.
I thought he looked dry.
Really? Okay.
Well, at least I'll tell you this. That's what gave him sweat.
I'll tell you this, Jimmy. When he took off the robe, he had sweat on his chest. But maybe you're right. Maybe once he took it off, it didn't look like it throughout the body. But yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I would have been I like to see a fighter. I like to see a fighter go in there and just stretch out on the ropes too. You know what I mean? He just stood there and it seemed like he didn't respect Dubois. He didn't give him the respect he deserved with his hands down. You know what I mean? Getting caught with Grasso, I'm sorry, who just dropped a shot with the Bolo style punch. He caught that. If you see it, we go back, that first shot that rocked him, his hands were both down by his waist.
Yeah.
When that shot hit him. And another thing too, I just gotta say, that referee, what a fucking joke. What a joke.
Hey guys, real quick, Eddie Hearn just tweeted out that Joshua was activating the rematch.
Oh
yeah, I figured that just because it makes the most sense. What would you do next after this? That's the only thing you have that makes logical sense.
He could fight Wilder. He could fight.
Well, I know, but you do that on your way out. Wilder will never go anywhere. like you need to do this right now.
AJ,
the money
just
for
wanted
Dubois
AJ
would be
supposed
huge.
I
AJ
just want
supposed to
to
be
add to Jimmy's point, if you don't mind, on the note of him being dry. Did anyone notice that this entire week, Joshua was showing up late, making Dubois wait, and the same thing happened here. Like I watched this fight at the gym. I started my session. There was the Buatsi Hutchinson fight, right? It was like 2 hours in between that, and there was just two fights. Like I think it was like a 2 or 2.5 hour wait.
Yeah, they had an
until the
Oasis
time
concert on.
and they
Did
had
you see
Oasis,
that?
Yeah, yeah. I don't know what's with Alex Sheik and these washed up acts. We got Eminem and Oasis. That's pretty funny. But then Oasis was on their like second song or whatever. I didn't listen. Joshua was getting his hands wrapped. Like he was getting his hands wrapped like middle of their performance. Like the guy shows up, doesn't even warm up, gets in the ring and gets battered.
Wow.
I think there was like in the lead up, there was this whole narrative of their sparring session and Dubois saying he got the better of AJ. It really seemed to piss AJ off. But on Jimmy's note of him having his hands down throughout most of the fight, that could have just been timidity. Like that could have been him going in there anxious, worried about what's going to happen because of what happened before. That's kind of my read on it. He came in in his bodybuilding shape. He came in way too heavy. He didn't seem like he came in with the intention of like boxing and with the appreciation that he might get hit and he might have to ride a few shots. He came in with this idea like I'm just gonna knock this guy out. I'm big, Anthony Joshua. I'm heavy. You know that speech he gave. That's kind of mentality that struck me.
Joshua.
You know, I can sympathize. Yeah. I can sympathize with Dubois and all that. I mean, with Joshua being tentative, because people tell me that happens to them all the time when I spar with them. They go, "Oh man, I'm timid around you, man." I mean, I put my guard on it, and I'm just saying, you know what? I understand where Joshua's coming from. I have the same effect on people, so it just happens. Sometimes you run into a guy that's superhuman.
Well, Mr. BD, I know we talk all the time. Some guys can get flash knocked down. Some guys can get put right on their ass.
Right.
But they get back up, right? They can shake it off. Right? Some guys don't. Yeah, but even then,
the referee fucked up. I mean, like you making AJ take
huge, yeah. Oh yeah, he was 1 second behind.
I said the same thing. Recognize.
Does anybody
pick up the count when he was supposed to?
Hold on, one at a time. Let Jimmy finish. Jimmy's trying to get a point in there.
No, I was going to say, yeah, he didn't pick up the count right. He was 1 second behind. But again, it's up to the ref's discretion where he thinks it should be. But he was a terrible ref. But he never recovered from that first punch. He never recovered from that first punch.
Yo, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, man.
Yeah,
I think the correct move for somebody like Anthony Joshua is he needs to get with the best trainer in the world, Bomac.
I knew he was going to say something like that.
That would make sense. That would stylistically make a whole lot of sense.
Does anybody know if they released the scorecards yet? Because I thought there were so many 10-8 rounds in that fight.
No, I think they had Joshua. I think they had Joshua ahead, I bet. No, but the referee really screwed up by waving the fight off when because he was trying to indicate that it was a slip. That's not the motion you do when it's a slip. You're supposed to do it with the hands horizontal, palms towards the parallel with the ground. This dude was waving it off, and
PDA in boxing style.
He waved it off. He gave AJ a chance. He waved it off like that. That's exactly
waved it off.
I was watching it on Silver's channel, and I said the same shit. I thought they waved it.
Dubois got 2 knockouts in one fight. Dubois got 2 knockouts in one fight.
I mean, in a way, yeah.
He
right.
actually got it.
Guys, do you know when you have first off, right? When it's a slip, you know what the correct hand wave for referee is? It's parallel to the canvas at the waist. You go back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
It's called the washout. Okay.
Okay. So I want to be a referee.
And then when you do it over your head, that's calling the fight.
Yeah,
so he did call the fight.
That's been
Yeah. I don't know if I caught the show late. I don't know if you guys already discussed that, but yeah, when it's a slip, you wave with your palms.
When they're waving at the fighter with their hands, motioning towards his face, that's usually they stop in the fight against him.
No,
right?
Recognize. Here's what happened. The ref, he was having an Alzheimer's episode, and he was thinking back to the best years of his life, and he was waving at his dearly beloved Eunice, who died 40 years ago.
You got to remember,
He
for the 3/4 of boxing's history, there was no microphones, right? Like same thing in baseball. Umpires hand signals. Right, it's important. Same thing with referees in hockey. There's certain things you do, and it's very important. A slip is you wave palms to the canvas back and forth. When you wave your hands over the top of your head, he's calling the fight. That's why the crowd started freaking out. And then he was like, "Oh no, it's a slip." It's like, what the fuck, dude? You just actually called the wrong fucking. Like that's amateurish. I was shocked.
I think that actually is, Jimmy. That's a signal to the guy to ring the bell to stop the fight. When you go over the head like that, that's what stops it. If you think of it, they'll ring the bell right after he makes that signal. Of course,
it's supposed to. Yeah, it's supposed
that's
to.
What that's for.
He's calling a fight.
I got a question for you guys. I got a question. Jimmy just said, or somebody said, sorry, I forget that Joshua just activated the rematch clause. How many of you expect that to really go on, or do you expect that in a couple of weeks? Oh, he's gonna fight someone else.
Yo, let me jump in right here. Let me jump in right here, BDA.
That was Quags.
Hold on, let me jump in right here, BDA, because
what did I do? Go ahead.
If I remember on the last show, bro, I told you at the end of it that Eddie Hearn don't let Joshua take no breaks, and it don't matter if he got his ass knocked out. He's gonna make him go back there and make that money, bro.
Yeah, he's gonna make him go right back.
I better believe they're gonna have that fight, dude. They're gonna have that immediate rematch.
He does
it every time he loses.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, he'll rematch. He'll rematch for sure.
I think it's the only thing that
I remember 100%.
Come on, guys, one at a time here. Go ahead. So
I remember 100% X always saying that Eddie Hearn, AJ was his golden slave.
Oh, come on. Come on. All right. Hold on. Listen. Let's go in order.
Man. That's what he said. That's what X said, not me.
Let's go in order here. Let's go in order because everyone has a lot to say. So let me go first to I think Ason wanted to say something. Then we'll go with Quags and then Stray G. All right. That's going to be the order. So Ason, I think you had something to say? Or Ason, number 7? I don't know if you had something to say. All right. Let's go to Quags. Quags, you were going to say something?
I was just actually piggybacking off somebody else was talking about, but no, go ahead and move on to somebody else.
All right, Stray G.
Okay, listen, what I wanted to say, right? Because I said earlier that he should get with the best the best boxer in the world, without a doubt. We all know it's Crawford, right? And so he keeps his hands up, mind you. AJ needs to keep his hands up.
We don't know that. Your opinion, but go ahead.
Yeah, whatever. But like when AJ, he kept his hands down, right? And and also when he backs up, that means like that part of the rhythm of the beat, he wasn't defending himself. Bomac will teach him the importance of having good rhythm and good defense and be know when to defend yourself and know when to strike,
All right, well, listen, Stray G, thank you for dropping by. We're going to kick you off the panel now, but thank you for jumping in, man, and giving us your thoughts. All right, I think...
that was great.
Yeah, that was great. I think Virtuoso wanted to say something, but I think he was getting cut off too.
Yeah,
Virtuoso, go ahead,
I wanted to say... listen, if he's gonna take on Daniel immediately, he's gotta start off quickly. I'm sorry, but you cannot go into that fight approaching it like, okay, I'm gonna take his best shot and I'm gonna try to counter off of that. That was foolish. And listen, he's either go for broke immediately or you're gonna get knocked out again, because that's gonna carry him to the next fight. It's that doubt that he might get knocked out again. So he's probably going to be cautious, and it's probably going to happen again. So I'm picking Daniel to win. I'm sorry. I think this represents a sea change in the heavyweight scene in the UK.
Fair play.
Yeah, I think if you paid attention to the workouts this week, AJ looked lethargic and Dubois was looking sharp. He was throwing, quick punches. And I was like, this kind of seals the deal for me. Like, this guy is going to get caught. And by saying that, I don't think AJ has the timing or defensive rhythm like Toro was saying to deal with a guy who has quick hands.
He's never been a timing fighter, really.
So what I think the biggest factor was obviously the knockout, that power, bro. But the foot speed that Dubois had, it let him get in and out faster. AJ couldn't time him. It was just too much for him. I think it was a foot speed that really, gave him that advantage. But I
AJ
also
was
think
left-footed with
Joshua,
his
he drops his
hands
hands
far
every
apart.
time he throws a punch, bro. Every time he throws a punch, bro. And look, dude, just go back in time, dude. You never lead with a fucking uppercut. Look at what's that dude's name? Buster Douglas. What did he do against Evander Holyfield, bro? He led with the uppercut.
Left hook.
A little
Yeah.
half step
Left
back right
hook.
hand, and you're asleep,
AJ,
bro. You never lead with the uppercut.
AJ was
Pandora,
Stephen
too.
AJ Smith throwing that fucking uppercut. What the fuck was that?
Yo, and
I had AJ right, but I was happy to be wrong. That was a good fight. That was fun to watch.
AJ needs to ignore conversations when it comes to fucking Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury's his jinx. That's his jinx. Anytime they bring up that fight, something bad happens to him, bro. It's like, dude, just don't even think about that. Be like, listen, fuck Tyson Fury. I'm not worried about him. I'm worried about the opponent in front of me.
Mm-hmm.
Where does
Shit,
AJ
I mean,
Ross?
obviously, I mean, in hindsight now, I mean, that's obviously been brought to fruition. I mean, I don't think he was really looking over this guy. I think he just went in there flat. Sometimes you just don't feel it that night. He looked flat as shit to me. And on top of that, Dubois jumped him immediately. It's not like he got to feel it out and figure out, oh, I'm going to get in the whatever rhythm he thought he was going to get into. No, he got jumped right off the bat.
This jab got to him quicker.
Power and speed. This is, obviously they can catch him with looping shots, and that's his kryptonite.
That's exactly.
Once he gets hurt, he stays hurt.
Mr. BDA said.
Ask a question.
Well, I was going to say, as Mr. BDA said, he talked about how Dubois, just to go back his last few fights, you've seen an improvement, right? And on top of that, we both talked about he has to jump on him early and catch him. And I think someone was saying, but they think he has power. Yeah, Joshua has power, but doesn't have the same hand speed. And he isn't as hungry. Right. And silk sheets make a big difference. I mean, honestly, how many hundreds of millions of dollars do you need? That dude is super wealthy. It's what's making him take this rematch. I'll be honest with you, and I'm not saying he's fucking finished as an athlete or as a boxer.
It's ego.
But being finished physically and being finished mentally are two different things. I think he's just kind of checked out. Like he's made all his money. Like he's only going to take this rematch because of ego. What he should do when he still has all his facilities, he should just walk the fuck away with that money.
Yo, Jimmy, I don't think it's the speed because when at the end of the right before he got knocked out, he caught Dubois with a really, really fast shot, and I just think it's a lack of rhythm.
Well, Dubois is the very easy guy to get because Dubois comes in and out straight.
Undisputed, so there's really nothing left for him. If it's not Fury, Usyk, or anybody that's holding the title, like there's nowhere for him to go. He's better off just cashing out. He'll get this rematch, and maybe he'll cash out depending whoever wins between Fury and Usyk or something like that. But I don't see anything.
I think the reason Dubois got caught with that shot at the end, and I said this before the fight, was that both of them kind of gassed out in the middle, and I was expecting that from Dubois. But I think we need to pivot this to, like, I know we're talking about AJ, but man, from what I saw from Dubois, he's the fresher, younger fighter. He did everything right. He made the adjustments, and it looks like the losses and the fights that he had versus the top guys, the same guys that Joshua did, he got better off them. Where Joshua, he's not the fresher fighter, and we've seen this before, where the better fighter loses to the younger, fresher fighter. It might be that thing,
Yo, I wanted to ask this question to Jimmy, right? Because I know, Jimmy has some really interesting takes, right? Okay, you know how earlier I brought up Bomac as a potential coach, right? Or it's either, in my opinion, it's either between him or Steven Breadman Edwards. Like, think about Caleb Plant, right? Like, he was getting pieced up by the guy the last week, but then he instead of fighting on the outside, he chose to fight up close, and then he got him. I think AJ could have done something like that, and I don't know.
Who does Bomac train outside of Terrence Crawford?
Jimmy,
why do you keep doing that?
I know. It's like this guy. Hey, do you go?
Are you overlooking the great Chris Eubank Jr. next gen?
Oh, he got with Bomac too.
The kid is still
here's
learning.
the thing. I might be wrong, but I believe Bomac is barred from England because of the gun charge.
Oh yeah, that's right.
See, try to keep his brother down. Just more racism.
No, wait, never mind.
By the way, I gotta make an announcement
guys,
here.
I like Bomac a lot. I like Bomac a lot, but I've been fooled before. I don't want to go through this the way I did when I thought that Andre Ward's trainer was a great trainer, and it turns out it was just Andre Ward. So
I got a public announcement to make. Hold on, public announcement. I know people want to jump on the panel, but we got a full panel right now. There's already 12 people here, and as you can see, it's already going to get rowdy. So if anybody jumps off, make sure to stay tuned in the Discord and jump in right away because I'm not gonna add more people. It's already too hectic. So 12
Mr.
people.
Bidet,
Hold on, Mr. Bidet. What's the matter with you? What's the matter with you, Straight G? Mr. Bidet. Calls me Mr. Bidet. What's the matter with you? Mr. Bidet. Mr. Shit. Mr. Shitball. Might as well just call him Mr. Shitball. Call him Mr. Shitball.
Mr. Shit.
Yeah, Mr. Shit.
Man,
There's 12 people. There's 12 people already. As you can see, they're having a hard time hearing each other and myself. So we're gonna have to limit it to 12. But stay tuned. If somebody jumps off, you need to jump in right away because I can't add any more people. Sorry about that.
Yo. Let me say this. I'm gonna just ask one more question and then I'm gonna jump off the panel, right? But yo, Jimmy, what do you think about? No, hold up. What do you think about? I want to ask Jimmy and maybe Mr. Bidet recognize too. Like, what do you guys think about Anthony Joshua potentially getting with Stephen Breadman Edwards, Coach Breadman?
See, Edmund, from what I hear, is a sticker. Like he's a very do it my way or the highway. Like he has kind of he's very knowledgeable but very abrasive. I don't know if Joshua. He seems to kind of I don't know. Maybe that might not be a good fit. To be honest with you, I thought he looked best with Garcia. I thought Garcia had him fighting excellent, and I believe that was with the second Usyk fight. I liked the way he handled himself. I liked the way he carried his. He had him lose a little weight in the upper body. He came in too thick, again, too heavy up top. And I really did like the way Robert Garcia worked with him.
I think we need to go back to what Southpaw Lefty was saying because I disagree with part of what he was saying, but there was one part that I do agree with. Look, the people that are thinking that AJ he can get a different trainer and it's going to be a world of difference and he's going to go to being an invincible guy. He was never that invincible guy. First of all, he was a very dangerous guy because of his size and because he does have some technique and some speed. But again, this whole thing of, well, if he gets with this trainer, that trainer, it could make an increment of difference, which could be enough to give him some confidence and put him back on the trail to the championship. It's not that hard because the heavyweight division right now, it's not like it's full of downright killers that, oh my God, I don't see Joshua beating Parker. Or I think he can beat Zhang, by the way. I don't know. I'm not saying I would pick him over Zhang, but I'm saying it's not that much of a mismatch on paper. But this whole thing of we got to stop. That's one thing that I do agree with. We got to stop with that. Well, what if he switches trainers? He was saying he was enjoying training with this British dude. What's his name? Davis. Anyway, he was enjoying Ben Davison. Yeah, he's enjoying training. Hold on, he's enjoying. Let me finish, please. Let me finish. He enjoyed training with Ben Davison. It was a world of difference. You saw how he beat Otto Wallin and all these guys. The trainer, whether he goes with Breadman or whether he goes with Robert Garcia or whether he resurrects Eddie Futch's corpse, he's still the same AJ. He still gets beat by Dubois. I think.
Yeah, I agree, and I just made a point of like the weight. All his worst performances, he was north of 250. I don't know what he's thinking getting that big. It clearly shows that he's just not doing the work in training. And I'll note of Davidson, has anyone seen him hold pads for Joshua? Because there's like footage of, I think, on Instagram. The guy doesn't know how to like hold pads. Like he doesn't push the punch down.
I think he's more like a nutritionist. He's more like a nutritionist, like strategist type of dude. He doesn't know shit about boxing.
Motivational speaker. He's like one of those Zumba instructors with those big mics. That's what he's known for. But he holds pads with his hand out, and like he takes the full brunt of AJ's right hand to where like you could easily tear your pec. He doesn't like swat the punch down like you would when you're parrying. Like he doesn't even know how to hold pads, and he's training the world like a heavyweight champion.
I don't think I don't think he's comfortable training in America, guys. Like you gotta realize, man, England is not like America, man. Like our gyms in our rough areas are like, I mean, they don't have that over there. It's kind of nice over there, bro. So it's like,
Why you guys make an excuse? Make an excuse.
No, I mean, I've lived over there, bro. I lived over there.
I'm saying that a professional boxer, they don't train like
one at a time.
I just want to respond to Southpaw what he's saying about the gyms. Like a professional boxer at AJ's level, they like Canelo usually just rents out like a room or something in the middle of nowhere and just brings some sparring partners. So it shouldn't matter that much. where they train.
Well, Canelo's different, man. Canelo comes from a harder place, bro.
Mirage, shut the fuck up. People are talking, man. Mirage, I'm going to kick you out if you keep interrupting. People are talking, man. Go ahead,
I just want to make a point. I just want to make a point real quick because it kind of reminds me of this whole Drake versus Kendrick Lamar thing. Like, you see Drake as like this good hip hop artist, but he's not like the hip hop artist here in America. You know what I mean? I've lived in Europe, man. It's not like they have rough areas, but our rough areas are rough, man. Like I got so used to it when I moved back to America. I was like, holy shit, I'm not used to hearing about shootings and stabbings and just being around the hood again, man. So I'm just looking, man. Like he wasn't comfortable in Dallas.
I have a question for the panel. I said this in the chat before, right? I said I don't think AJ's been the same since the Ruiz fight, right? Since the Ruiz KO. And someone said to me, no, he's always been chinning.
Yeah, he gave an interview after the Klitschko fight, actually, and he told his trainer, Rob McCracken, that he never wanted to go through something like that ever again.
Well,
so
he
he's
hit him
really
pretty
never
good.
been the same since that fight.
Yeah, that might have cracked.
Let me jump in here real quick, bro.
All right,
hold up. It's not about him being chinny. He doesn't know how to defend himself properly. He's technically flawed. So like, he gets cracked with obvious shit. Like he can't move right, nothing. Like he's not that he's chinny. He can't defend himself. Like
No, he's not durable. He's a little chinny. Go ahead, Sobers.
Yeah, I would say, well, to that, bro. I think when he gets hurt, he has a really hard time recovering. So, you know, that was really what it is. It's a big problem. Right. But I want to go back a few steps, bro. Hold on, I want to go back a few steps to what Southpaw was saying, bro. What do you think that AJ's training in the hood or something? Like, what does what's happening in the worst part of the country have to do with what these boxers are doing?
I read articles where when he was training in Dallas,
that was like the most brain dead fucking take, bro. I've heard on you.
He wasn't comfortable like in Dallas.
He's not from the hood, bro. You don't get it.
Yeah, but he's not training in like these ghetto gyms. Like you can just
bro. He's not training in any ghetto.
I know, but like being in a city like Dallas, he wasn't comfortable, guys. I'm telling you,
this nice parts of Dallas, bro.
This is straight from him. And Dallas is a rough city, bro. I'm in Texas. Trust me.
Yeah, but think about it like this.
Wait, hold on. So you don't? Wait. You don't think there's a knife problem in the UK? There's not a bunch of acid attacks and stabbing attacks going on over there?
I lived there for 3 years. It's nothing. I mean, we blow them away when it comes to that kind of stuff. Like it's mind blowing, bro.
It's trending up anyway.
Off topic.
No, I think that's a really dumb connection to make, bro.
Well, it's not very.
I disagree. That's cool.
Well, I'll say this. Let me say this. This whole thing started because we're talking about the trainer change for AJ. Like, he should get a different trainer, blah, blah, blah. The problem with Ben Davison is that he's over there in the UK, and I think he said that one of the reasons why, because I think he's employed partially by Devon Haney, but I think he said that the reason why he doesn't train Haney full-time is because of there's a fucking ocean between the US and the UK. So I think that's one of the things is he doesn't want to be flying back and forth. So Ben Davison sticks to...
that makes more sense than him, like, not, you know...
BDA.
Yeah, that makes more sense than Dallas being like this really bad place.
Him being scared that he's going to get
shut the fuck up. Nobody even wants
Dude,
to
I've been in here 10 minutes. I can't even say a fucking word. What the fuck?
Well, listen, hold on, fellas,
Someone was actually trying to say a point.
Amok, please. Listen, Mirage, when we get to the Benavides portion of the show, we'll get to you, but we're talking about AJ versus
Dude, I want to talk about the fight. I want to talk about the fight. Yeah.
Did you hear what he said? He told you to sit and spin.
Well,
Shut the fuck up.
considering I predicted Dubai's going to knock him out, maybe you should listen to me rather than the dumbass fanboys who are wrong.
BDA, if I donate $20 right now, can you ban him for a year?
Oh, wait a minute. Who kicked him? Wait, hold on. Who kicked him off? What the fuck?
Thank you.
Oh, I didn't kick him off.
No,
I didn't do it. I didn't do it either.
Who kicked him off? Hold on.
I kicked him off. I'm sorry.
No, hold on. Don't do that. Don't do that. Fellas, don't do it unless it's really...
You gotta work the guy. Guys, let Mr. BDA speak.
Don't kick somebody off unless it's really merited. Please, Mirage, jump back in. But again, we gotta stop talking over each other here, fellas. Come on. It's getting a little too hectic. But
I just want you to know, BDA, I didn't kick him out. Just
okay.
All
right. Mirage, go ahead.
Exactly.
Dude, who are these bitches
let's have some kind of cadence.
Who are these bitches that you give the power to boot people, man? They
I don't
can't
give.
take
Listen,
it.
I don't give anybody to answer your question. I don't dispense with the wrenches. That's not my department. But go ahead. What was your take on the?
So anyway, I'll tell you what happened here. I'll tell you what happened here.
We don't give a fuck. Shut
Oh,
the
you're
fuck
gonna
up.
interrupt again. Okay, go interrupt. Go.
Hold on, I'll match Sober's contribution if we can actually ban this guy.
Oh my God! Just let him say.
Did you really pick Dubois to win? Did you really pick him to KO?
To win, and the reason why, because I saw through Eddie Hearn's con. Go look at all this. Oh, I've rebuilt AJ. AJ's the best version ever. What a pile of shit. Who did he beat? Jermaine Franklin, Hellenius, Otto Wallin, and Nagano. Is that it? He was fighting nobodies. So this was a charade while Dubois was being battle tested. Dubois was battle tested against top opponents. And AJ, even at his best, was always like, a fucking a limited fighter, but one that's not even battle tested in the last couple of years. No surprise. I thought if Dubois can at least be a little bit defensively
Okay,
aware.
But what does this have to do? What does this have to do with Benavides, though? I don't get it.
Yeah, I miss.
Yeah. So will you guys make an excuse? You guys make
not know that he was gonna fucking.
Hold on. Thank you,
Blaming the trainer.
Thank you, Captain Hindsight.
Blaming the trainer's nonsense. That's not the reason why. AJ's got somebody. Who was it? A-Sun? Yeah, he's got no defense. His hands were at his fucking waist, eating
That's what he
clean
said.
shots.
That's what he said. That's what A-Sun said.
That's not the trainer's fault.
Yeah, that's what
that's not the trainer's fault.
You're parroting shit right now.
AJ's 35 years old. He's been a pro for 10 years. That's not fucking Davidson's fault.
He's 34, by the way. He's 34. He's 34, not 36. He's 34, not 36.
I agree with that.
He's 35 in like another at the end of the year, whatever. Yeah,
right,
so
that's not
fundamental flaws.
And I agree with Mirage's take about him fighting Dubois fighting much better competition as of late, and he has seen improvement. Mr. BDA went in depth about that last show, talking about Dubois was, you could see the improvements in him, and he was more hungry. I just got to add one thing. I know some people might say, I just honestly, and I've said it before on the show, that I think Joshua's power is overrated. I think a lot of people mistake muscle with punching power. And that's been a historic thing.
And
for years, people have always saw guys with big muscles and automatically think they can hit hard, when that's not the case at all.
I agree, though, Jimmy. I agree.
From what
listen, real quick. I agree with that, but I do think Joshua's power was equal to Wilder. The only difference is Wilder hit quicker, had faster hands. By the way, hold on. Joe is saying, Joe in the chat is saying, Mirage is lying. He said on Ring IQ that AJ wins by knockout. Oh boy, so we got different. Versions here.
That sounds familiar. Doesn't it? Doesn't that sound familiar?
Guys, but from what I saw tonight, I saw AJ. His fire's burned out. He reached his ceiling, which he could still make some money fights. He's not done, but I saw Dubois reach another level. I don't think we're talking enough about how much better Dubois had. I thought he was going to keep his head on the line and get knocked out by AJ right hand. He was moving his head.
He wasn't that good coming in. That's the whole point.
I'm about to say he harmed him immediately. You're acting like he outboxed him or something.
No,
he
but wait,
Quack.
Southpaw does bring up something. He did kind of bait him. Go look at that fight again. He did bait him. Like Southpaw's bringing up some.
I'm just saying he did it immediately.
Bro. He did.
I think the best thing he did in that entire fight is that once he hurt him, he didn't let him off the hook, because he hurt him in the first, then he hurt him again in the third. He never let him go.
The way he hurt him. Go ahead.
He's hurt before. He's hurt in the Klitschko fight. He's been hurt with Usyk. He's got. Chief would say, because it was a couple shows ago, he was talking about Mickey Ward, and him and Jimmy were talking. It was really interesting about the grit and all that. Like, he doesn't have that grit, man. Like, he's a pretty boy action figure. He doesn't have it. He's technically flawed, and he's not a grinder. It's a poser thing. Like, literally, like his competition has been so low where he doesn't have to have those defensive responsibilities. He looked amateurish in there. He looked amateurish.
Can I rebut?
Let me just say something. Southpaw. Let me just say something. Southpaw. Let me just say something real quick. I don't know. Yeah. I heard it in between the cacophony. I don't know who said it, but No, listen. This wasn't at Luis. This wasn't at Luis AJ one situation where it was one punch and he never recovered. From the get go, Dubois was outboxing Joshua. He was out jamming him. Joshua couldn't see the jabs coming. So this is a much different thing. But Southpaw, go ahead.
No, I saw him like land a hook and then move his head and pivot out of the way. I'm like, whoa. Like that first fight I saw that his last fight, he had his head on the line. But from the last call, I see what you're saying, bro, where you're saying AJ's not as tough. Like, and I can see where you see that, but I think he is tough, man. He takes the tough fights. We saw the grit versus Klitschko. I think what it is he started boxing late, so he doesn't have, when he gets hurt, he doesn't have those automatic, muscle memory things to fall back on where it kicks in automatically. You know what I mean? He got the most out of his ability for starting late. I think just what it is.
You're confusing durability with heart right now. Like, I think he has a lot of heart and he'll drag him through, but he's not tough. And that's why he stays hurt. He's not durable.
Yeah, the Klitschko fight was 7 years ago, man, as well. 7 years ago.
Klitschko,
but yeah,
Andy,
no head movement. No head
he's
movement.
been hurt
no
a couple.
movement.
He's been hurt
more than that. It's like 8 years ago.
This is a mental thing. He's been. So this is a point to where now, like, he should, like I said, to be understood. Rather if it's the first round he jumped on him or not, he just doesn't have it.
And in contrast, Dubois, he came out like a savage. Dubois came out like a savage, no fear.
You got background. You got background, Southpaw.
He had the best Mirage. That was like the best game plan. He jumped him early and he never let him off the hook. That's exactly what you need to do, especially when you know you're not going to win. You're not going to win the decision. So what's the best thing to do? Harm him early and keep on his heels the whole fight. He did that.
All right, now let me ask people. I'm going to start with a question, but I'm going to choose who answers first.
Well, I think, like I was saying earlier, I think the biggest difference.
What the fuck, man? Okay. Can you guys hear me? Real quick. Sorry, Sobers, go ahead, and then I got a question, and I'll pick whoever I got to pick because I don't want everybody jumping in. But go ahead, Sobers. Then I'm next.
No, I was saying go ahead, BDA.
No, I said you go ahead. So you go ahead. I call the shots around here, buddy boy.
Look, buddy.
all right. Let me. Okay, I'm gonna ask Alan, since he laughed at my joke. I'm gonna ask him first. Alan, here's the question. Our next matchup: Dubois Bacoli.
I'm saying that's a 50-50 fight.
That's a 50-50. That can go either way.
The fuck, Mirage? Are you White Devil? What the fuck?
Well, he repeated my answer. It's a 50-50 fight for me.
He's the White Devil.
All right, Mirage says 50-50.
Mirage doesn't have his own opinion.
But on Ring IQ, Mirage would say it's not 50-50. And then another one.
Come on, man. Stop picking on Mirage. Stop picking on Mirage. Recognize, what do you think? Bacoli versus Dubois.
I don't know, man. I like Bacoli in a way, but Dubois might be too fast for him. You never know. 50-50 fight. Slight edge Bacoli for me.
All right, I got to say something.
Where's the fight at, BDA?
Okay, see, Quacks, you bring up a good point here because every time somebody wants to talk, everyone's talking over each other, right? Then when I ask somebody a specific question, they got nothing to say anymore. A one-word answer. What the fuck's the matter with you guys? I think you're doing this on purpose to piss me off. That's what I think. But Quacks, go ahead, man. You guys say something?
We're excited, BDA. We're excited over the fight. We're still pumped up.
Yeah, that's what it is. All right, Quacks, you were going to say something. Go ahead, man.
I would say it depends where it's at. If you had it in England, I would tip the tier like 60, 40, 55, 45 to Dubois. I think and especially what you saw from tonight, he might be feeling it. He might be on to like the next form of his style. You know what I'm saying? Like some people fight above their means, and he did it tonight or today rather, depending where you are.
Well, it might be too fast for him. You never know. He might be too fast.
Yeah, because Jared Anderson landed some good shots on Bacoli, so I can see Dubois beating Bacoli. I can see that.
Yeah, but I think Dubois hits harder.
I can also see Bacoli knocking him out too, bro, because he hits a lot harder than the guys he's been stopped by.
Bacoli's loose. That's what scares me about him as a heavyweight. He has for a guy that size, he's really loose in his shoulders, and he gets punches off in a.
Yeah, he's really
right. Can I ask a question?
Well, who wants to ask a question?
Oh, no, hey, me. I just want to ask a question to Jimmy before. I'm going to jump off and let somebody.
All right. Go ahead, man.
Yes.
What's up, buddy?
Hey. And this is one point I want to make, and I don't know I want to hear what you got to say about it. From what I saw tonight, you saw the crowd. I'm like, wow, man, that's crazy. What we saw from Japan, we saw like, dude, that was nuts. And what we saw with Canelo with down in Mexico when he fought Ryder. Look, like how much does it show like how much American boxing has kind of fallen off, and where people who say, "Oh, these fighters got to come here to fight," like they don't know any better, bro. Like, yo, this is showing like even in Saudi, you know what I mean? Like we have all our.
It's one of the stupidest narratives going right now when I hear people like Timothy Bradley talk about, well, to be great you got to come to the United States. Like, fuck out of here.
Yeah, I mean, did you
This
see
sport
that
has
crowd,
never
bro?
been weaker in the United States now. Oh yeah, of course. England always shows out. Yeah, the Saudis bring it out there. Japan. Do you know that?
Exactly.
Well, the Inoue, that last Inoue fight, not this past one, the one prior to that, topped that set a record over in Japan. That's how crazy that was.
Yeah,
55,000 seats were sold in under 2 hours.
And honestly, that's the only reason I was rooting for AJ's, because I didn't want. I was like that was such a good spectacle. Like I'd rather have everybody go home happy instead of heartbroken. You know what I mean? But no, that's all I gotta say, man. It was good to see another overseas, crowd doing its thing. So it kind of opens everybody's eyes that there's boxing. Boxing is global. But yeah, man, I appreciate the time, yeah, man. Y'all take it easy. I'm gonna get ready and go out and do some beers tonight.
Take care.
Later.
Take care, buddy.
I forgot what I was going to say. I was going to
So let me jump in. Let me jump in here and say what that matchup. I'd favor, because it is kind of like everyone's saying 50-50, but I would favor Bacoli with that power. You know, he's the African George Foreman, basically. He got those arm punches that'll put you to sleep. And I think that even with the domination Dubois had, he got hit with one clean shot by AJ, and he was hurt. So if Bacoli catches him, he'll hurt him. I think, he'll be able to take more. He'll be able to take more shots from someone like Dubois before he gets hurt. You know what I'm saying? I think he'll be able to outlast him.
He is more
durable than
Dubois.
He is more snapped than
Foreman to me.
Here's a question.
He's quick.
He hit harder than Anderson.
Here's a question for you guys. What do you think has been the turnaround for Dubois?
I think he should fight Zhang and make a whole bunch of money. And
No. But what do you think? What do you think he's improved on that's caused like this, resurgence?
I don't think he's improved in too much. I think he's the same dude. I think
I would say his jab. I would say his timing got better. I agree. His move, he's changing levels more, and that presents. Even though he's square, he changes levels and gets his head off the line. It's kind of like
I was going to say that.
Mike Tyson. He's much bigger.
I think he believes in his jab.
Well, can I say something about that? If I can say something about that, I think it's when he fought Joyce, people made too much of him. Yeah, he quit in there. He had a broken orbital, but he did a lot of talking, so people just crapped on him, as they should. I mean, it was their right to crap on him based on everything he'd said prior to that. But let's not forget, people make it out to be as if Joyce dominated him right after. The guy was landing bombs on Joyce. It just so happens that at that point, Joyce had that indestructible chin, which has now, it seems to be dented. But it's not like he didn't acquit himself well. Against Usyk, yeah, he ended up quitting, but he was doing well as well in that fight against a guy that's considered the number one pound-for-pound fighter in the world by a lot of people. So, I think he was underrated too. People were making too much of the fact, and maybe I was guilty of that as well. He's going to quit eventually. He hasn't quit since then. So, I think he's just maybe more confident. Yeah.
But the Usyk I think fight, we could take that quitter label off from now, BDA.
Well, until the next time. But go ahead, Irish. What were you going to say?
In the Usyk fight, like how many rounds would you give Dubois? It didn't seem to me like he was winning much, And
but he was still
not many.
Still competitive.
But he was competing. He was competing. When you fight a guy who's kind of like showing you something different, especially when they're that big, and maybe you're fighting a guy who's smaller with speed. You learn something. You learn something from
he's
that.
Dangerous.
I lost because I was a couple of steps behind him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I will say there was this one fight. He fought some journeyman, like this Italian guy, and he got dropped like 3 times in the opening round.
I remember that.
Stopped him with a salvo. Yeah. It did show that he has good durability.
Yeah, that Italian dude was fucking him up, bro.
And you know what comes from that? And this is honestly, listen, athletes spend millions of dollars on sports psychologists. Like you can't underscore how important that is. And I think someone just asked, about what do you think the big thing with Dubois is. I think it's self-belief. I think it's just lack of self-doubt. I think he has more confidence because remember how highly touted he was going into that Joyce fight? He was like the next big heavyweight everybody was talking about, and I think that sent him back, and I think it made him question himself. And I think what we're seeing is a kid coming into his own. He's got belief in who he is, and that goes to show you the power of that, the power of the mind.
I think it's
I can totally go ahead.
Nope.
Well, I'm about to say to stay there though. If you want to talk about like sports psychology and stuff like that, that's pretty much what they fix with you. They identify what's bothering you, and then they figure out a way for you to coexist with it. That's how that works.
I think when you need sports psychology, I think you're pretty fucked already because sports is supposed to be competitive. You're supposed to do it because number one, you love it, and then second, because you want to compete, right? If you got to start like fucking with your mind, why am I really doing this? You kind of lost the plot, bro.
I don't think that's necessarily the point, though.
I think that's necessarily the point with AJ. That's what I think.
Simple.
Well, I think the how do you say the goalpost changes when you're fighting for money. If you're talking about the amateurs and stuff like that, where it might not necessarily matter as much, I might be more so to agree with you.
No, I agree.
When it becomes a professional career, the stakes are up.
Guys like Canelo, guys like Usyk, guys like that can compete at such a high level. If they take a loss, they're like, it's just part of the fucking game. When you fight really good fighters, that's what happens.
Well, Usyk does have a sports psychologist, and so does Lomachenko.
I'm sure they all do. There's no reason why you want it. Go ahead.
Yeah, and the reason I brought up the Italian guy is just to underscore how in heavyweight boxing it seems like the margins are very thin for failure, right? Like if you're just not tuned in, like you can even do the work, but if you show up on the night and you're not, ready from the get-go for whatever is going to happen, it's a much bigger margin of error than the other weight classes just because of the power. But to Jimmy's point, I think it did help Dubois because when he was in the come up, he was kind of cocky. He was talking a lot. But in this lead up, he was very quiet. And I think that's his natural kind of inclination. Is just saying nothing and do the work. And so I think that's actually benefited him.
Maybe he found out what he was, though. Sorry, go ahead, Mirage.
All those losses, I agree with Jimmy. The biggest thing is he believes in himself now. He believes in himself. All those losses, against that Italian dude, he looked like he was shot. He couldn't even take a punch. He was getting dropped multiple times. I thought people wrote him off after that. And this guy has a chip on his shoulder. I'm going to show the fuck.
Recognize who you're talking to, man. I hear you in the background there.
Yeah, what's going on right now?
These weirdos, man.
Walk this way. I'm telling you, walk this way.
Recognize. Please mute your mic, man.
Damn.
I'm gonna mute him.
What the fuck?
Recognize. Are you a human trafficker right now? What's going on with you?
You should leave it on and extort him later. What the fuck?
I agree with you, Mirage. I think that fight against that fight, he was getting knocked out a bunch of times.
Resilience, big, huge deal, and he's got it now.
Yep.
And he even said it. I believe in myself. He said that even after a couple fights ago, whatever. And even the Big Baby Miller, go watch that fight. He was putting it on Dubois, and Dubois was on the verge of being in serious trouble multiple times. And he held in there. He weathered the storm. And there, to me, he turned the corner in that Baby Miller fight.
Well, can I say something about psychologists? Because I went to a hypnotist once. I'm not kidding. I went to a hypnotist once. I had this issue. I had to deal with this body image issue because ever since I was in high school, my pecker was always bigger than everyone else's, and it made me feel bad for him. So I go to a hypnotist, and he hypnotized. I only went once because I said I don't think this shit works. Then I'm looking. I didn't know much about the hippity hop back then. I'm looking at the TV. The guy that hypnotized me looked exactly like Didi. PD. So now I know now I'm wondering what the fuck. I'm wondering what the fuck did he do to me while I was hypnotized. So guys, be careful who you choose as a hypnotist.
BDA, are you saying that you was in Diddy's freak off?
I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying the guy. I don't know if that was P Diddy, man. I don't know if I was in
Mr. B. Mr. BD, Tubuku.
I don't know if I don't know if psychology. I don't know if
take that. Did he tell you
I don't
take
know
that?
if working. I don't know if working on the psychology always helps. I mean, Mirage has gone to gay conversion camp multiple times.
Come on.
That's shit, man. You guys are mean.
Yeah, what's going on here? Come on.
Marvin Hagler would always talk about it. It was his self-belief. That's what drove him.
I just think that when you start
believed in me
getting
but me.
psychologists for like work, bro, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but I just think that there's something wrong with you. That's just
All right,
bro.
you know what? Let's talk about what's wrong with people. Let's talk about Devon Haney. I don't know if you guys saw what was transpiring during the event.
There's something wrong with him. There's something definitely wrong with him.
Well, listen, here's the thing. What happened? I don't know if everyone's aware of what happened. So there's this was a big event in London, right? All the big celebrities over there, like Blonde John and all football players and all that. They were all there. Haney, for some reason, is in London, and he goes, "Hey," he goes on Twitter and complains. Eddie Hearn, I called him up for tickets, and he told me no. This guy's a fake. And then he wrote he tweeted out 3 times complaining about Eddie Hearn. Then Eddie Hearn fired back saying, "Look, you contacted me at 6 a.m. That's very last minute. I got other fighters to take care of." But people were clowning on Devon Haney because saying, somebody made a post yesterday on Twitter going, Garcia was caught using PEDs and saying racist things, and yet Haney is hated more. Well, Haney also said racist things. First of all, they conveniently forget that. And his father is a big mouth. They didn't give Lomachenko a rematch. He was an asshole to Lomachenko. Then his behavior here by also beating up short Mexicans at the carnival along with his peeps. I mean, come on, are people really surprised why people dislike Haney? It's because of stunts like this.
BDA.
Exactly.
Golden Boy just posted, like, Floyd Schofield just had a kid, right? And this guy retweets him and said, "I thought he was a virgin."
See, there you go.
What the fuck is wrong with this guy?
I mean, yeah, there you go. Guys.
About who? And again, you can't underscore if Lomachenko or any white fighter ever said, "I'm never going to lose to no black boy." Can you imagine the outrage?
It'd be like a class action lawsuit. It'd be a class action lawsuit, Jimmy.
What are you talking about? It'd be congressional hearings.
Yeah, seriously. It'd be absolutely out of fucking control. But this is what you get at this point.
And it meant nothing. It was a bleep in the fucking, nobody even paid it any mind. So, for him to complain about Garcia being racist, don't get me wrong, Garcia, he went on a fucking, but again, when somebody's drunk and shit, you charge it to the game, fucking whatever. I'm not excusing the shit he said.
He got what he asked for, though. His dad talked all that shit. Like, he's like, I'm gonna smoke a Garcia pack, right after this fight. And what happened after that? He came out with that fucked up like remix video or whatever the shit that was. He came out with 2 videos of him like rapping about him.
What do you expect?
Highly favored.
What do you expect when they give him? What do you expect when they give him a 0 back? That's the system telling him that he's correct in everything he does. They gave this guy a 0 back. He has
no credibility though, dude. He's already been like punked out in public. I don't think
from his perspective, if you're able to finagle the system like that, then that's what we call privilege, right? Everybody talks about this privilege or that privilege. That's privilege.
Of course it is.
Exactly. That law, that getting overturned is his death knell. That's his death knell right there, because he knows nobody respects him.
That means you're not a man.
He's a fraud. You got to understand something about dudes that are frauds, right? Once they lose, once that fraud is gone, they can no longer ever get that back. That scheme doesn't work no more.
Yeah, you can't do it twice.
Yeah, he's a finished man. He's finished.
I agree.
What can I say something as well?
Whatever respect. Yes, Mr. BDA.
No, go ahead, Jimmy.
Or should I say bidet?
No,
brother, seriously. That was crazy. Mr. Bidet.
Mr. Bidet, yeah.
He mispronounces every freaking word. Go ahead.
Mr. Bidet is going to spit out some truth like a jet of water. Listen, Haney, actually, what ended up happening was, so he was complaining about, he won't give me free tickets. First of all, I don't think people, he thinks like this is a high school function. We're like, oh yeah, sure, we'll get you in. This is a big ass event in Wembley. Tickets are sorted out. There's only so many to go in the build up to the promotion. Eddie Hearn's got a million things on his mind, from the production aspect of what's going on. Are the fighters okay? Like, he's got a million things going on. The last thing on his mind is whether King Devon Haney is going to be able to get a seat. But here's what happened. During the Joshua Buatsi fight, the lights went out. And then all of a sudden, the next fight, Devon Haney's in the arena. I think the guy sabotaged the electrical system, SEAL Team 6 style, and infiltrated himself in the arena because he was in the actual ringside later on.
You think he knows he understands electrical. Oh, that's interesting. I think you're really overshooting that, but I get you. I agree.
Well, I mean, when you're such a big star that you have to pay the bouncer to step out front, you wait off in a coat room, you wait for there's a few people standing out front, then you have the fucking bouncer step out with a flashlight. Look out! Back up! The champ is here! Back up! Remember that fucking video? Him coming out of the bar and the girls are looking over their shoulder. It was like, who the fuck is he? Like nobody even knew who he was until some kid that another kid they probably paid. Hey, what's up, champ?
You got a lot of people out here, champ. You got a lot of people out here for you, champ.
Yeah, you got a lot of people out here.
You're a star. You're a star.
You get a lot of people out here that don't know who the fuck you are, champ.
Oh man, it's embarrassing. Yeah, listen, Haney's not. I don't think Haney's a bad kid. You know, if I were to have to hang out with somebody, Ryan Garcia seems like the type of guy who he would get drunk the way he did when he started going after Muslims and after Anglos. And he's the type of guy that would probably try to pickpocket you to score some crack or something. Haney, I don't think he's that bad, but I think that the fact that he
I don't know. I disagree, Mr.
Well, hold on, I think I might disagree as well.
I disagree.
Let me finish before you disagree with me, please. I'm not saying Haney's that bad. He's not bad, but what I'm saying is I think in part the reason why he's so acerbic now and toxic is because he received a lot of backlash for some of his stupid decisions. And so he starts doubling down. Like, for example, after the Lomachenko fight, he didn't say anything bad about Lomachenko or anything. He just started getting a lot of messages on Twitter saying, you lost the fight, you lost the fight. So what does he do? He starts doubling down and starts making fun of Lomachenko, no rematch, blah, blah, blah. So I don't think, deep down inside, I don't think it comes natural to him to be that much of an asshole as much as he does with Garcia.
Well, just because he's a coward doesn't mean he can't be a bad person.
Well, I mean, at least with Ryan, he's intellectually honest, and with Devon, he's always trying to project the good kid when you know damn well he's not. Like, who in their fucking right mind would marry a prostitute?
Nobody.
I mean, come on.
What the fuck are we talking about? What the hell?
A lot of people. A lot of people.
In their right mind. In their right mind.
Oh, look, Amok. Love is blind, but only one of them has assaulted someone in public.
The Emperor Justinian
on camera
married a prostitute named Theodora. So,
all right, listen, nerd. Nobody cares about history.
Wyatt Earp's brother did too.
Love is blind. Okay, love is blind.
Did you see the interview that Haney had with Andre Ward when he was crying at the end? You see that?
No one saw that interview. Wait.
I saw.
Love is blind, but so is his girl from all the money shots, if you know what I mean.
Nah, come on, man. What the fuck, man? Come on, man.
Jesus Christ!
I saw clips of the interview. I saw clips of the interview that people were posting on Twitter, but I didn't see the whole thing. You're saying he was crying at the end because of what? What was he crying about? God. What was he crying over?
Because he was talking about his dad. Where he was like, well, everybody left because they were talking about, he doesn't have as big as an entourage since he got beat real bad. Because and they're saying he said there's less people. They're not hanging around me. And then he said, but the only person that's been there for me was my dad, and he was there for me. His voice got high and everything. It cracked and all that. You just got to go there.
Wow.
Crazy.
I was waiting for you to say he left too.
But honestly,
of course, the entourage is smaller now that Diddy is in jail. Of course, the entourage is smaller.
Oh, come on.
But I agree with Mr. BDA. I'm not saying I wouldn't hang around Garcia because I think I'd have a lot of laughs. I think that's going to crack me up all night.
Yeah, he does seem funny. Yeah.
Right? Yeah, no, he does. But I agree. I don't think Haney's a bad kid by nature. I think he grew up. He didn't grow up on the wrong side of tracks. He seemed to you can always tell. I know some people don't understand this, but you see somebody's home. His home was clean. His lawn was manicured. Like, you can always tell somebody, you know what I mean? Like, he just seems like an all right kid. I just think he took the real wrong turn when he did a rematch Lomachenko, when he ran out of that fucking ring and then ran his mouth. I thought that was a bad look, and he lost my respect. Like, you know what I mean? Like, dude, even if you don't think you didn't lose the fight, which you did, you rematch that motherfucker. That's the second guy who fucking refused. No, now the third guy who refused to fucking rematch him after beating him.
Yeah, I disagree. Haney's trying to do it low key. I disagree, but Haney is a bad kid. He tries to do it low key. He's a narcissist. He's always virtual signaling. He's always trying to be the victim, the good guy. Somehow he's the good kid.
I agree with that.
Forget
I
all
agree.
these bad actions from him.
I agree
I
with
don't
that.
know
I
if
agree.
good or bad, but I think on a note,
He's a good kid that wants to be a bad kid. That's what it is. Like he's not
No,
a
he
bad
is
kid.
a bad kid. He's a bad kid that wants
He's
to be a good kid.
he LARPs, dude. He's a LARPer.
I think I agree. Like, did he get caught with a handgun too, or was that Wilder?
That was one of his friends. That was one of his friends, I think. That was one of his friends.
Some of his friends, yeah.
Yeah.
He took the blame for somebody else.
He
it's hard to tell them
virtual
apart, I know.
signaled that he's a Muslim while he's over there in New York eating bacon burgers and shit. Like fuck out of here, bro.
Yeah, now listen, any good practice, do not let their girlfriends fucking, their women hang post, pictures on Instagram with their fucking booty hanging out. No real Muslim would allow that.
I mean,
yeah, I think a guy like Haney, Oh, sorry. Go ahead, BDA.
No, go ahead, man. Go ahead.
Oh, is you look at a guy like Haney or the Shakir Twitter send, their identity is boxing. There's fighters that they just fight. It's their job. And they don't identify with this being kind of a clout chaser. I need to be in the spotlight. Like Manny Pacquiao, he always seemed like he had a balance and he had family and friends. And if he took a loss, he took a loss. His identity was not fulfilled through and for boxing.
I don't necessarily. I wouldn't agree with that wording. I think like Manny's identity was definitely a warrior. He had a tremendous pride. I think the other guys identify him more like social media stars. I mean, you mentioned Haney married a prostitute, but Teofimo Lopez married like a flight attendant or something. I mean, it's almost as bad. I think all these guys are very like mentally unstable. They're not really sure who they are. And I think this whole kind of generation, Shakur Stevenson included, is kind of wasted. So we're just going to have to bear through it until they're all
I
gone.
agree. Mostly with
That's
the
a great
American fighters.
Hold on.
With the American fighters.
Jimmy, you go ahead.
Well, Kid Schofield doesn't look that way, and neither does the other guy.
Jimmy was going to say something. Hold on, Jimmy.
No, I was going to say, yes, I was going to say the American fighters seem to have lost their identity. Like, they don't seem as grounded. It's just they're more grown up. Like, listen, it's all about fucking money. I'm telling you, this is even the poorest people in this country have AC and widescreen TVs. The Ukrainians and the fucking Eastern Europeans. I mean, there's still true poverty over there, and nothing drives boxing. Like back in the day, you fought to get out of poverty. It was the one thing a poor kid could do to get his family out of poverty was boxing, and that's when the sport was in its golden era. So I think that's part of it too. And today you see a lot of kids, the Charlos I put in this basket of kids who are they're not fighters. They're great athletes who happen to box. They're not.
That's a great
whereas
point.
like Crawford, on the other hand, is a fighter too. Like he's a fighter. He's been a fighter since he was a little kid, on top of being a great athlete.
Your background does, because we were talking about that earlier. Your background, if you're from a rough area, or if like those countries where Beatrieve and Bivol is from, like you have to you gotta be a savage, like on another level, and that's what makes a great fighter. I think fighters that come from like really bad, humble beginnings make the best fighters. Fighters are born.
Yep.
They're not made.
I agree.
They're not made.
I agree that
Well,
has nothing to do with it.
I think humble beginnings, though, like it's not quite as like depraved over there. Like they can't afford anything. It's more just like they have sort of expectations. Like there's not much to do where you stay out all night. You kind of have a good grounding. You sleep appropriate time. You have to go to school and do relatively well, I think, just to continue in your sport and such things.
It's built into the culture. It's built into the culture, though. Like all those guys, like think about it. If like you were a Russian, right? Like the Russian national team would take care of you if you were a good fighter. It's a lot different than it is out here in that regard.
Yeah, it is, because Putin protects you, and he starts pumping his athlete with all them steroids, and
I'm saying they get more. They get more support. They get more.
I know, but Putin himself protects them.
Let's be more accurate here as well, or add another layer to this. Yes, I agree with you guys. It does take a certain temperament, which is often influenced by background, to become a good professional boxer. But there's also other factors as well. You can't. I hate when people say skills pay the bills, because it makes it seem as if, well, you got skills and that's it. That's all you need, technique. Well, no, you need to be a like next level pound for pound guy, or one of the top, or just one of the top guys in a division. you have to have something special, some sort of physical trait that makes you special, whether it's power, speed, athleticism, an iron chin, iron lungs, whatever. And then even if you do have that, you need to have, like, for lack of a better word, that dog. You need to have the dog, right? And then on top of that, you need to have the wherewithal and the work ethic to stay at it. I'll give you an example. Errol Spence had good power at welterweight. He did have that willingness to fight. He liked fighting, but he just lacked that outside the ring control. And I think a lot of that can be blamed on Al Heyman for, those business practices that led him to have only one slot per fight, one fight per year. But that also goes on Errol Spence. Instead of being inactive during his downtime, or staying active rather in the gym, whatever, he decided to go to Dubai, baby, and take Quaaludes and get drunk and fly out of a car. Those are all things. So in order to become longevity-wise, a good fighter and a legendary fighter, it takes a lot of factors, man. It's not just one single thing.
Yeah, and listen, since you mentioned Spence, I want to add something. Like the other night with Danny Garcia, when he fucking simultaneously thanked Al Heyman while complaining that he was inactive.
Oh, there you go.
I thought that was precious. Oh, thank Al Heyman. Man, I haven't been able to get any fights. It's like, dude, you're just too dumb to even realize how dumb you are.
That's hell, man. That's being in hell. Knowing who's to blame, but you can't blame him because of an NDA or whatever. That is hell. Well, listen, fellas, the other thing that I wanted to talk about was that, does anyone have anything to say about the undercards? About the undercard fights, rather?
Oh, yeah, I was curious if
anyone
saw the Padley. Yeah,
the Chamberlain Buatsi was a low-key candidate for Fight of the Year. I thought it was very back and forth. And then they tried to rob the guy. It was crazy. I mean, they gave that guy Chamberlain the fight. Oh, Hutchinson, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Hutchinson and Buatsi was a back and forth. But I don't know what that says about Buatsi, but go ahead.
Yeah, I think that was a very interesting fight. Like, Hutchinson has this kind of style that I think is appropriately termed awkward, because he makes a lot of strange movements and kind of can take the sting out of shots by bouncing around. But it kind of cost him, too, because he didn't sit down and put anything on Buatsi, who would come out strong in the initial bit of every round, but then kind of fade. There was a moment in the fourth round where Hutchinson hit him with like a body shot, a left hook, and it bothered. You could visibly bothered Buatsi, but he didn't capitalize.
So, can I jump in here with that? After that,
go ahead, man.
All right. So I want to say, I think Hamza Shiraz looked good at 160, bro, and he'll probably move up to 168 eventually. But I'm pegging that dude to be the Turkey's boy that he wants to prop up from the Middle East. That's a Muslim. He's gonna try to get him on the pound for pound list. So keep an eye on that. And one last thing about the main event. I think that before this fight, that Wilder versus Joshua fight was up in smoke forever. But now that they both got knocked the fuck out, and whatever, they're not. We know they're not at the top of the world no more. I think that opens up that fight to happen again, and it'd still be good.
Yeah, Wilder's not even like, you can't take him seriously. He just doesn't even fight.
You can now if he doesn't get the rematch.
I think he's actually even. I think he retired. Didn't he officially on his Instagram page? I think he retired. He's got a lifetime achievement award from the LDBC last week, so that was kind of fun.
Well, listen.
He's lost 4 out of his last 5. He's lost 4 out of his last 5. Wilder.
Yeah, he's I mean, he looked all puffy and shit. I think he's over. What is he, 41? I think he's done. I don't think he's coming back.
I think he's been done for a long time, but the point is, that's not the point. That's not what Sober said. He's saying, like, what would you line up next? You don't think they'd drag his ass out of where the fuck he's at to go fight in Wembley or whatever the fuck it is, to have AJ knock him out? Or they would do that.
I don't think he can sell. He's not even a credible. He's not a credible opponent at all.
Joshua Wilder was credible.
It might not be.
I think that fight
everyone
was
knows it's going to.
It'd be comparable to what you saw tonight.
Yeah,
exactly.
Can I just say, I heard you guys talking earlier about the rematch. Eddie Hearn said he's going to activate the rematch. To me, that is the most dumbass idea possible. The guy just ran you over. We didn't just lose. This isn't Lennox Lewis losing to Ruckman one punch. He got demolished. And you're going to have a rematch? It's not even Ruiz.
It's the only option, though. What does he do?
The only option is to get back in the ring and get demolished again. Well, then don't do it. Just fucking retire, man.
Jump on a yacht and fucking ride around the world.
Disagree?
You know, there was a guy from Palestine. There was a guy from Palestine 2,000 years ago whose destiny was to get brutally murdered. And you know, you could have told him the same things, like, "Well, man, that's your only option. Just retire already." He went ahead and did what he had to do, and that man's name was Jesus Christ, and he was no man; he was the Son of God. So I think Joshua, maybe he gets demolished. Maybe he gets demolished. Maybe he doesn't. Who cares? Let's see it happen.
But nobody's
I want to see it happen
since.
Oh, come on. No, but hold on. I want to see it happen. If Joshua loses, he loses. Fuck it. Make it happen. He's got no choice. I think I agree with Quags to a certain extent.
So sacrifice
you really seem to be excited by the fact that he has no options. It seems to really enjoy that.
Yeah, but I agree though. He has
BDA.
no. Yes.
What? Explain what else does he have other than the rematch? Like, what would make sense?
Oh, I'm not saying there is something better. I'm just remarking that BDA seems extremely excited by the idea that he has no choice. You know, he's like a slave to his fate.
No. That's because see, he's got to use the word slave. I didn't say any of that. He's putting words in my mouth, man. He's putting words in my mouth. But you know what? Hey, for Dubois, there's a lot of things down the line. A lot of things make sense. He's got to go back, talk to his team. Definitely a lot of big fights down the line. Right, Irish?
Yeah, well, it was a hard camp, BDA. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. We gotta sit down, look at the drawing board. You know, just talk to his team. You know, his family. There's a lot of things behind the scenes. You know, gotta talk to Turkey.
He's got to see what makes sense.
First of all, we gotta thank God. We gotta thank God first of all. You know, because without him, none of this would even be here. So, you know,
Irish, for
thinking
people
about
that
that,
don't,
you know, the whole
funny, half the fucking fighters who say that never even go to church. That's what's so fucking hilarious, right? They don't even have nothing to do with religion.
Church
that's like
Church
just like they just say that to be like socially accepted, Jimmy. That's just something people say.
Well, I gotta tell you, fellas, today was very exciting. It was a very exciting day. And then on top of that, yesterday we had Jaime Munguia taking on a guy from my neck of the woods, Eric Bazinian. I'll tell you right off the bat, I was disappointed with Munguia because, and I'll tell you why. Because I've always said that he's very limited. I've never been on the train that he's this killer or whatever. But at least people were saying there was a hope that after the Canelo fight he would have added a couple more wrinkles to his game. This dude, there were way too many spots where he was bobbing and weaving when he wasn't even in punching range. He's outside the punching range, like he's a full 3 feet away from Bazinian, and he's bobbing and weaving. He looked like well, I can't say the word here, but he looked like he was slow. You know, like one of those guys you see in the park with a helmet on. I'm sorry, I can't.
You know what that is, Mr. BDA? Mr. BDA, you know what that is? That's things he worked on in the fucking gym, and he's, I got to do that. I got to do it. Yeah. Not realizing, you're doing that, but you're supposed to do it within punching range. Like it's like he's thinking about, okay, I didn't know I saw that. Bunch of wasted movement. Nothing will get you tired fast. It's like just. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like James Toney was great, no wasted movement. Canelo, no wasted movement. That's what good fighters don't waste movement.
I was actually impressed with Munguia's performance. As usual, disagree with you.
You said he was going to get knocked out.
I was actually disappointed in Bazinian. It looked like he just quit.
I knew Bazinian's a good fighter. I knew that already. He's a decent fighter. So I didn't.
No, you did not, bro. No, you did not.
Yeah, I did.
I brought up Bazinian months ago, and you're like, "Who the fuck is that?" Shut the fuck up, Murad.
No, Bazinian's a good fighter.
I told you about Bazinian. You're asking me who the hell he was.
I didn't finish talking. So
I don't need to. You're just gonna bullshit.
Before that troll interrupted. So I was surprised that he knocked him out. He knocked out a solid fighter. I didn't think Munguia would do that. Other than that, his skill level, he's got 43 pro fights. He's 27. What did you expect? New wrinkles at that? That's past. That's Munguia. It's always going to be Munguia, but it was still a surprising performance.
Did anyone see the Padley Chamberlain fight? That one had a lot of kind of back and forth jawing between the two of them, and I think it was an upset. Like Padley won the decision.
Wait, which
Did
fight?
anyone see that by any chance?
Wait, you talking about?
I don't even know who that is.
You talking about the one that happened?
Like, domestic.
Right. Was that was Aziz, or what's his name, the Kazakhstan guy or Uzbekis guy that he fought some African dude and got a gift decision?
I don't know about that. I just saw them at the press conference, and they were like really jawing at each other. And I saw that the guy who was the underdog actually won the fight.
Yeah,
I was wondering like, how that went.
I didn't see that fight. I think you might be. Yeah, I think I might be right that was on the main event for the that the dude that got knocked out by Gongora. That super middleweight Eastern European that got knocked out by Gongora. He was fighting
Ali Akhmedov.
Yeah, Akhmedov. Yeah,
Ali Akhmedov.
Yeah, he fought some
this
African
fight.
guy.
This fight, Padley Chamberlain. This was today. This was on the undercard of AJ.
Okay.
Can I just say something too? Totally different fight to bring this up, but I didn't see it until recently, till the other night. I didn't see the Fulton fight. Listen, anyway, took that kid's soul. The fact that it took him so long to fight again was the absolute worst. Positively worse. That shows you how much Heyman punished him for going to Japan. It was against Heyman's advice, and he made him pay for it. He kept him on the shelf. It was the worst thing. He's never going to be the same. Never will ever be the same. He was
I
shot.
kind of partially disagree with you, Jimmy, because I thought that fight he had with Figueroa was a gift decision, and that last fight that he had is another gift decision. So now he has 2 gift decisions.
I don't know about.
I mean, that was
decision.
a competitive fight with Figueroa, but
Yeah, I don't know about.
that fight.
Figueroa's a slapper.
Yeah.
Well,
I believe he only gets. I believe he only gets the press because he's a Japanese fella.
Oh man, yeah, that whole narrative that we had to endure for about a year and a half. But listen, in regards to that, so we had Munguia on Friday. It was a decent scrap. I think if he would have pressed the pedal on the metal, the gas pedal, I think he would have gotten Bazzini out of there earlier. But hey, listen, what do I know? Now the other thing is, we had Richard Torres, because we're talking about heavyweights right now. Richard Torres took care of a shorter fat guy in there. The guy kept spitting out his mouthpiece, and some people in the Discord were saying that the guy was salivating because of the odor of the hamburgers at the concession stand. So that's why the mouthpiece kept sliding off. But be that as it may, what do you guys think about Torres? Can he make a dent in the heavyweight division?
Honestly, it doesn't look like to me. I mean, look, when I watch a fight and you're a contender or a prospect like he is, and you're facing a guy like he faced, it's like, what did you learn about Torres? And I got to be honest, I didn't really learn much about him. I thought he looked better. Bucho yesterday said he's stiff. I thought he looked more fluid, put some punches together, but his chin is still in the air. And you can't be as reckless as he looks to get sometimes because he's of a shorter stature. He needs to open up more, so to speak, to get inside. And a sharpshooter will definitely catch him.
He's better than Jared Anderson.
Did he win an Olympic medal or something? What did he win?
He's better.
So he didn't win. But yeah, look, what's up with go ahead.
He's better than Jared Anderson.
Okay, what medal did he win? Did he win a medal or just went to the Olympics?
He won silver.
Yeah,
he won silver.
If you watch that dude and they told you that's an Olympic silver medalist, would anybody here believe that?
Yeah, because I'm aware of what the Olympics are actually like.
Come on, man.
I'll be honest. I'd pick Butterbean to knock out that dude Torres. But
he's good. He's good.
Torres.
He's got skills. He's good.
What's up?
Has he been hurt before?
Only
he got knocked out.
What'd you say, Jimmy?
But what's up with like them matching him with like shorter heavyweights? He's already a short heavyweight to begin with. They're going to be matching up against 6'4", 6'5", 6'6" guys to get ready.
Adding resume, man. You heard of it?
Well, that's the thing, though. First of all,
but they did it with Jared Anderson, and it didn't fucking work out.
Hold on. Jimmy asked, has this guy ever been hurt, Torres? The only time I've seen him hurt was in the amateurs when he fought that fucking Jalalov or whatever his name is, Jambalaya.
Yeah,
Jambalaya. When he fought Jambalaya, and Jambalaya in the first one knocked him out.
Better at the Olympics.
It doesn't seem like Torres understands range. He has a very bad sense of range, almost like Joshua, right? Joshua just he has a very bad sense of range, and Torres he needs a lot more work. That guy that he fought didn't really show us anything. He quit.
Well, that's the other thing, though. Is look, listen. We always like to say that Usyk is undersized for the heavyweight division, but he's actually got the right size combined with the speed. He's 6'3". Torres, they list him as 6'2". He looks to be 6'1". He doesn't look that much taller than 6'1". So
Usyk has mastered range. He's mastered the exact point he needs to be to land his shots.
Yeah, this dude fights more like a brawler. He just very sloppy, comes in. Not impressive. I don't think he's going to be anything more than like a bit of a fun fighter in a division, personally.
Yeah, he doesn't look like he's going to have like fast enough feet or waist movement to be able to get on the inside against taller heavyweight.
And yeah, he has a dexterity problem. I mean, I don't know if that's a problem. That's just a natural ability, right? Your ability to bend at the waist, twist, shoulder roll with punches. That's another thing with AJ, right? I look like Robert tried to teach him to roll with punches. He can't roll with the shot. Like, who's a good guy that could roll with the shot? Somebody give me a name. A heavyweight.
A good heavyweight. Well, you know what? Who can roll with the shots? It's that dude that fought Jermaine Franklin.
Doesn't Usyk roll with shots?
Not really. Jermaine Franklin can roll. Jermaine Franklin can roll with the shots. Zhang can actually do pretty well with rolling with the shots too, with his shoulder when he's shoulder rolling with the left hooks. He rolls with the shots, yeah. So maybe Torres can incorporate some of that. You're right, but again, his game is mostly going to be try to work his way on the inside, and he's got to contend with some of these fucking lummoxes like Zhang, like Dubois, like Joshua, like Tyson Fury, Jalalov, who's on the come up. Although I will say Jalalov, I think he's got a little bit of quit in him. I think he can quit. Just because he's one of those dudes that's so tall, he's not accustomed to being hit, and as soon as somebody puts the pressure on him consistently, I think he's got a little bit of quit in him. But the problem is, who's going to be able to do it? You know what I mean? So we'll see what happens there. I want to ask. Yeah.
I was going to say, I'm questioning why he went back to the Olympics instead of focusing on his professional career. He's only got 14 pro fights, and he hasn't fought since July of last year.
You can fight in the amateurs now and stay a pro under the rules in Uzbekistan.
He doesn't even fight as a pro. Doesn't even fight
because in
Uzbekistan,
he fights as both, but in Uzbekistan, he probably just gets money.
He hasn't had a professional fight since last year.
I mean, he probably just gets more money fighting in Uzbekistan.
Go ahead, can I just say that Dubois has a better resume than Deontay Wilder?
Oh,
yes, he does.
And let us sink in. And they want to put Deontay Wilder in the Hall of Fame. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah. Look, most heavyweights got better resume than Wilder.
The only reason why Deontay Wilder should be at the Hall of Fame
I
is
think they
he's
should
the
put
grass.
I think they should put Wilder in the Hall of Fame. The biggest manufactured champion to ever exist in the heavyweight
come on.
division.
See, you guys are being mean here.
Arguably for sure, arguably the worst hype job ever in the heavyweight division.
I wanted to ask Never Sobers. Never Sobers, were you live on YouTube while you were having your watch party or?
No, not today.
Ah, man, because I wanted to see the reaction. Well, I'm pretty sure you recorded it, right? You record everything. You're recording right now, but so if you can have,
I have it, but that's just for my personal research. Later
cameras, we got Diddy cameras on us. Damn.
Hey, that's not what I call it. But
that's Never Sobers.
Personal use only, and I would appreciate you not to bring that up again on the stream.
Yeah, I want to see that. What was the reaction, Sobers? What was the reaction when AJ got dropped the first time?
Shit!
Sobers has this funny reaction when the person he's rooting for is doing well or hurting somebody. He starts getting angry. Knock that fucker out! He says really aggressive. It's like fuck him up. What the fuck? Sobers, a lot of anger inside of him. What the fuck? So that's what.
No, but to that point, I do kind of wish I went live because everyone did get all crazy. You know, AJ when he was beating him down, and everyone was getting really loud, you know?
Yeah, I can imagine, man. I jumped up.
So those... Sorry.
Go ahead, man. Go ahead.
So those stories, remember the sparring stories? Dubois knocked out AJ in sparring. I mean, it looks like there was something behind them. I mean, look at the confidence of it's like Dubois knew something. He just came in there, man, I'm gonna take care of business. Looks like
Mr. BD said that's exactly what Mr. BD was saying. Like the best shot he has is to jump on him early, test his chin while he's still fresh and got power. Because AJ has never shown, he hasn't shown the resilience of, has he been hurt big and come back? When he was hurt against Klitschko, that was more of exhaustion. That wasn't hurt.
It wasn't really much.
His bell wasn't rung.
It wasn't really as much as that I had a lack of confidence in AJ's chin. It was more that I thought Dubois, the more Dubois waited, the more he would give Joshua time to think. And that's that if they fought that way, it wasn't going to work out for Dubois. But surprisingly, the jab from Dubois, that's what I'm still harping on. He was out jabbing Joshua before he even hurt him. So if they box again, that's why I'm saying the rematch. Listen, never say never, because I didn't expect Dubois to win this way so convincingly. So never say never. But the way it looked, that Joshua was getting outboxed and outfought, I have a hard time finding a way for him to win here, save for a one-punch knockout type deal. But you never know.
If you go by and listen to other YouTubers, right, other YouTubes, almost nobody was giving fucking Dubois a shot, like any shot at all. We were saying there's a path to victory for him. We both said it. We could see Dubois winning.
Well, the problem with the picks is the problem with making picks is
definitely a live dog.
The problem with making picks is that if, let's say you pick Joshua, because I picked Joshua, I didn't call it the opposite. So then people go, oh, you pick Joshua, and all of a sudden you're saying, listen, when you pick a guy, you're not saying, I picked this guy and fighter B has no chance to win. That's not that. If somebody ever does say that, then yeah, you can talk shit to them. But people make picks based on, well, I don't know who to pick, so ultimately I'm going with this guy. That's it. But people make too much of picks, man. They're people out there are obsessed with picks. You got this pick right, you got that pick wrong. Fuck shit, you get picks wrong. It happens. Even if you only get 99%, if you get 99% of them right, guess what? 1% you're gonna get them wrong too.
It's the analysis behind it. Saying picking AJ was a fine pick, but people are saying, "Oh, he's just gonna run over Dubois. Dubois got no chance." That's dumb.
Yeah,
I agree 100%. That's an excellent point. Yeah. It's the analysis behind the pick, which is important because it's a 50-50 thing, right? I mean, for the most part. So it's the people who it's the people who break the shit down and they say how it should go down, and if it happens the way they say, like, you know what I mean? Yeah. I mean, I've caught shit for just picks I've had.
It depends on what you thought of AJ going into it, right? Like. If I picked Inouye picking Inouye versus Neri, I never thought, Neri could turn his lights out. But when I'm picking against AJ, I go, man, this guy could very well, any round he can get his lights turned out. We've seen it before. We're picking against AJ, not necessarily.
People talk about. It's funny about that Inouye fucking Neri fight. People, he made him look fucking amateur. No, he made him look human. Like, what are you talking about? Like, people like Neri did all right against him.
Neri did make him look human. He dropped him.
But it wasn't a close fight. You know what I mean? It wasn't a close fight. He was still Inouye all the way.
He stopped looking superhuman, though.
Well, superhuman is, that's a, I don't know, that's an opinion or like a, a direct, what's the word? I'm fucking a little stoned right now. But it's an opinion of how somebody looks. But what I'm saying is, getting dropped in a flash knockdown, it's how you look coming back. Like if you go back, his feet were crossed too. He wasn't hurt. He got right back up and shrugged it right off. In fact, if you go back, I think
I guess my point is
that round.
He timed that. Neri timed that perfectly to.
But no, that's not, a flash knockdown doesn't mean it's not the person. It's not about the person throwing a punch. It's how the person handled the punch. A flash knockdown means your lights went out for a split second. You got right back up and you were fine. That's what a flash knockdown means. It's not the deliverer. It's the receiver. That's where the flash comes in. Meaning, like for instance, Joshua never has flash knockdowns. When he gets knocked down, when he gets hurt, he stays hurt. With Inouye. Like he would a flash knockdown could be also your feet were off balance. With the Inouye punch, that was more he was off balance because he got up and actually won the rest of the round.
Well, listen, I mean,
Neri for the rest of that round.
Everyone's going to start looking a little less superhuman when they start moving up in the weight divisions. I mean, that happens too.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, when they move up in weight, he's up. What this is his fourth weight class. He's up, and now
the point is,
I
don't know, but he kind of like turned though.
Well,
Neri hits like a truck.
If I remember correctly, didn't he kind of like turn and kind of like fell down weird?
He fell down weird. He just gave up his back and he got punched.
Here we go.
I think Neri timed him and he caught him with the perfect left hook. He turned it over really well. If you watch it in slow motion, it was just a really good hook. And if that wasn't
Neri can crack, right? Neri does crack.
In a way, I think he would have knocked his opponent out. You know what I'm saying?
No, I agree because that's one thing about Neri. He can't hit. Absolutely can crack.
All right, well, listen, fellas, we've been on for 2.5 hours. I think we're gonna wrap it up here. I'm gonna try to find the fight, rewatch it because it was really. But by the way, real quick, people are saying, I've heard some people saying fight of the year, fight of the year. Wasn't this too one-sided to be fight of the year?
Yeah, not at all. You know, that's a big cap on that. As
because it was so shocking. It was so shocking.
Super.
And it was,
It was probably one of the bigger upsets of the year. I agree with that. But fight of the year, not even close. Fight of the year is a back and forth. You know what I mean? Brawl.
But it sort of was in the last. What about the dramatic ending?
Maybe it could be knockout of the year.
Yeah. Ortiz
I'd say
Boa
biggest upset.
Yeah, Ortiz Boa Chuck is up there fight of the year, not this fight. Dubois whooped his ass from start to finish.
Yeah, this was a
well, I'd like to. Before we get off the air, I'd just like to thank God because without him, all this wouldn't be possible.
There you go, Jimmy. Good Catholic right there.
Gotta go back to just want to say that.
Yeah.
Good show, gentlemen. Good show.
Thank you, fellas. Thank you for jumping in. I'm glad you were able to jump in here and made this show interesting. I was going to open up the phone lines, but then they were working, so I said, fuck this. Let's do an open lines, man. Why not? It's people want to have their say. What?
We had some good new guys on tonight too. I think that kid Eson, am I saying his name right? I liked a lot of the stuff he said. It's always good when we get new guys come on with good perspectives, man, and I like that.
There you go. There you go.
Vice
Jimmy,
versa. To Jimmy, vice versa.
Jimmy throwing up the praise.
Oh, you still on, brother? Oh, sorry, man. Thank you, man. No, I thought you did I thought you brought some excellent angles tonight, man.
All right, well, I'm gonna leave.
Much better than idiots like a muck. Much better.
What'd you say, you little weasel?
I said this new
all right, you guys take care.
Far
Little
superior
snake in the
to
grass.
peanuts like you.
You still haven't even showed the receipts, you little jackass.
We need some sense. We need people with sense on here. So
Yeah, so then why are you here?
to educate you, because you have no
I've
sense.
learned not to go at it with a Marcus, man. He can get real.
Where's
nasty.
where's the fucking receipts, bro? Educate me about those receipts you bought.
You're a casual, Mark. You don't even know it. Yeah.
What do you mean? You're the one that admitted that you only show up for the big fights.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Those were your words. I'm paraphrasing, but your words.
Now you're upset. AJ got
He's
slapped. And
saying
now you're
that
upset.
you bet
How am I
on a
upset?
fight, and he's wanting
We're
to see
upset.
how much money you made off.
Why was I upset that AJ got slapped? Break it down.
Because you're a fanboy. You like AJ.
How am I a fanboy? When did I claim to be a fanboy?
Yeah, I heard you were supporting AJ.
That fanboy, isn't that a weird? I gotta admit though, fanboy is kind of a weird thing, right? Like, I'm a fan, man. I'm not a boy anymore, but I'm a fan of boxing, right? And that's just a weird
But a
dig.
Mark's a boy. He is a boy.
I think that's what.
No, but
you have
listen,
to call
a Mark,
yourself.
one thing about a Mark, I can say a Mark, he can get fucking real. He can get, man, when he fucking wants to nail you with some, he can be mean, man. There's that one kid who calls
look at
in,
him.
and he goes,
No,
I'm not talking about Mirage. I'm talking about that other dude.
He's talking, Jimmy. You're talking, Jimmy. Jimmy. I like how Jimmy. You seem to be a little like your Amok says something. You go, no. I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about Amok. Like Amok is the guy you're talking to.
I'm not talking about Mirage. I'm sorry. I'm not talking about his fight with
I know
Mirage.
you said Amok. We get it. You said Amok. I know. Amok is still here.
Yeah, but yeah. Amok gives him fucking but Amok, you're still dude. Who's that kid you do that to, dude? Because we're off the air now, right?
No, we're not off the air. We're still on the air.
Oh shit, we're not. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought we were off the air, Mr. BD. I apologize.
Well, I don't know. You didn't say anything that was out of line. Like usually when we're off the air, Jimmy's like, yeah, the 6 million thing, I don't buy it. Like you can't, you can only have so many ovens and work. Like, oh, Jimmy, come on, man, stop it. All right, but listen, I do have to go. So shout out to you fellas. Really appreciate it. Thank you for joining us. I'm gonna try to see if I can find a copy of the fight because again, like I said, I want to rewatch it. Hit the like on the way out. If you haven't hit it already, subscribe if you had to subscribe already. Thanks again for everybody who showed up. Virtuoso, Quacks, Quentin, Mirage, Jimmy, Sobers, Ason, Amok, all those other guys I forgot. I know Recognize was here as well earlier. Well, hold on a second. One last super chat here before we go.
You just got a new super chat.
Yeah, before I leave, shout out to... Oh, there were 2 that I missed. Hold on. So, shout out to... 3. Jeez, Luis. My goodness. Before we go, shout out to Don Chile Relleno for his contribution with the super chat. He says, Haney attended Didi's glory hole parties. Come on. I don't know if that's true. Allegedly. You should say Haney allegedly attended Didi's glory hole parties. All right. Shout out to Don Chile. Shout out to Rafael Garza for his contribution with the super chat. He says, rule number 1 of machismo, men don't cry. That's absolutely correct. I just recently saw Iron Claw. Iron Claw, man, that was a punch in the gut. And guess what? I didn't cry because men don't cry. Shout out to Rafael Garza for his contribution with the super chat. And shout out to Steph K Boxing Science for his contribution with the super chat. He says, Neri's knockdown was the exact same situation from the first Donaire fight where Donaire timed Inoue trying to create space with his elbow. I'll have to rewatch that. I remember Donaire hurt Inoue with a right hand. I don't remember dropping him with a left foot, so I'm not exactly sure what he's referring to. Neri's knockdown, it was the exact same situation for the first Donaire fight, where Donaire timed Inoue trying to create space with his elbow. Well, yeah, that one thing is for sure. Inoue fucked up in that sequence against Neri, because he was at mid-range with his hands down. So, but he got right back up, man, so shout out to him. All right, so shout out to everybody.
BDA.
Yeah. I'm hearing.
I was gonna say BDA. If you're looking for somewhere to catch a highlight to that fight, go to my channel. I got him on there. It's a little plug right there.
Oh, really? You do? No, did you really have the highlights or?
Yeah, for real.
Okay. All right, so I'll
great.
Well, what's the name of your channel actually, Never Sobers? Because I don't know if you changed it. I think you had a.
Oh, it's Never Sober Reloaded.
Never Sober Reloaded.
I like
it's like
it. Reloaded. I like it. I
like the
it.
sequel. Like the sequel to the first channel. All right. Well, listen. Shout out to you fellas. Thank you for joining us. No outro.